News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you.
Bulletins on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's 12 o'clock on Tuesday, the 26th of May. I'm Tom Harwood.
And I'm Emily Carver. Well, nearly 1,000 migrants have crossed the Channel in just a few days. That's as the government insists it's deporting foreign criminals in record numbers.
Well, 70,000 foreign offenders and other immigration offenders have been removed since Labour came to power, but just a small proportion of those are small boat migrants. And we can bring you breaking news. As we speak, a small boat has launched from the furthest beach ever recorded, far down south in Normandy.
Elsewhere, 4 people have been killed after a train collided with a school bus at a level crossing in the town of Bergenhout in Belgium. We understand the victims are 2 teenagers, the bus driver and another adult. We'll have the very latest.
Bereaved families meet the Prime Minister today, calling for a sweeping social media ban for under-16s. We'll speak to some of the parents affected.
And Scotland's former First Minister, Nicola Sturgeon, says she was deceived by her husband after Peter Murrell admitted embezzling more than £400,000 from the SNP. We'll have updates from the SNP throughout the programme.
And these sentences handed to 2 teenage boys who avoided jail for rape are now being sent to the Court of Appeal. Yes, after national outrage, ministers say judges will now decide whether the punishment was too lenient.
Morrison's is removing pointed kitchen knives from sale in a bid to tackle our knife crime epidemic. But will blunting our knives really stop violent crime?
And yes, it's another scorcher with more May heat temperature records set to be broken today. Jack Carson is out enjoying the sun.
Well, the sun is beaming down here in Weston-super-Mare. Plenty of people enjoying the lovely beach and the cloudless sky here. Now, I love a Mr. Whippy, but I think even this might be a bit too big for me.
It looks like the government is going to make a big move on social media. And I am very, very worried that we have one of the most damaging things that I think our politics has been subjected to over the course of the last few decades.
Oh, yes.
Political consensus. Tories have been calling for this. The Labour Party looks like it's moving towards this. It doesn't look like there's much opposition. And I think when there isn't much opposition in Parliament, we get bad legislation. We don't think through the consequences of sweeping reforms.
Yes. I mean, I'm very happy to hear the different arguments on this, for sure, but I think Sir Keir Starmer wants a legacy. And could it be this? Much like Rishi Sunak got involved with the smoking ban, wanted to push that through, Keir Starmer's looking like his days are numbered. He knows it, everyone knows it, and he's thinking, what can I do that will last?
And yet...
And that everyone will think is a nice thing.
Right, and particularly because it's, this is only for under-16s. Now, most of us didn't have social... I mean, I'm an exception. I think you're probably an exception as well. You probably had social media under the age of 16.
I did. I was on the old, the one before Facebook.
Bebo.
MySpace.
MySpace. Oh,
Although I got bullied on that.
Did you?
Yeah.
But you turned out fine.
Because people didn't know that you could read their comments on their walls anyway. You could.
A simpler time.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, right? It sounds like it won't affect anyone other than under 16s, banning it for under 16s. But actually what this does is implement a form of verification for anyone that wants to access anything determined to be social media. That's YouTube. I mean, I think some proposals for this ban include WhatsApp, because it's a sort of group-based messaging. This is going to affect every system that we use and require us to upload our identification documents to it.
But Tom, today, will you promise that you'll listen to what people's concerns are?
Of course.
And take them on board?
No, I'm not going to promise to take on board their arguments because I might disagree with their arguments.
That's true.
And if I disagree with their arguments, I will say that I disagree.
That's perfectly fine. But I do think you must accept at some level that social media, at some level, is bad for kids. No, he won't.
I'm working through that example in my head. I think it's far too broad a category. I think there are elements that can be good. So, for example, the Australia ban includes YouTube. I don't think that easy access to a wealth of information online is always bad.
No.
Can it be sometimes bad? Yes. But as a category, I don't think we can say this is smoking. I think that's absurd.
Yeah, I just want... You don't really like the idea of it, much regulation, though, on it, do you?
No.
Well, we're going to get into it because I can see both sides on this one. I think there are a lot of bereaved parents who would like nothing else, nothing more than to have it completely banned, but perhaps that's not realistic. But in other news, something that continues on is the small boat migrants crossing the Channel, and 980 have now done the journey over the bank holiday weekend, and it seems inevitable that the number will rise to 1,000 today.
Well, it comes as thousands of foreign criminals have been removed from the British part of the government's drive to ramp up removals of those with no right to be in the UK.
Yes, that brings the total to around 70,000 returns under Labour, which sounds pretty good.
Well, GB News Home and Security Editor Mark White joins us now from Dover. Mark, what can you tell us?
Well, a couple of breaking lines. We are now over 1,000 small boat arrivals since Friday, because yesterday 72 arrived that we recorded on GB News from the cliff tops here. But in addition to that, later on in the evening, 2 other small boats arrived. So in all, we believe that at least 150 arrived yesterday. That's taken us over to about 1,050 or so, probably a bit more, who've arrived since Friday. And as we speak, there are 2 more small boats in the water that have launched from the French coast this morning. And the most notable one of those vessels has launched from the furthest beach south that has ever been recorded. Way down in Normandy, the port of Dieppe, the boat launched south of Dieppe. It's about 100 miles further south than the normal launch points around the Dunkirk and the Calais area. So a very significant journey south that these migrants have made and the people smugglers have made, and they're doing that in efforts to try to outsmart the police patrols, because we have enhanced police patrols now. It's very evident because we're seeing them daily now, in particular around Calais and Dunkirk. That's making it very difficult. Yesterday there were attempted launches from the beach in Dunkirk that were thwarted by law enforcement. So it is becoming more difficult for the people smuggling gangs. That is one thing that you could say this British government, in giving yet more money to the French, it seems to be having an effect. But what it's doing, of course, is pushing the problem up into the beaches of Belgium. Again, over the weekend since Friday, multiple launches from Belgium, and then right at the other end, all the way down past Boulogne, now past Dieppe, they're launching much further south to try and avoid these patrols. But I have to say, this launch today is at the very limits, I think, of what these flimsy dinghies can achieve. I will be surprised if this dinghy and its load of migrants make it to UK waters. They are so far down. It is at least 8 hours in the water with favourable conditions, before they even reach UK waters. So, as I say, I'll be surprised if that happens, but we'll continue to monitor it. It's being escorted by a French patrol vessel at the moment, and the other dinghy that came a bit further north of Boulogne, is being escorted by another French patrol boat out into the open sea, which of course is controversial in itself. People saying, why on earth do the French escort these vessels out towards UK waters?
Absolutely fascinating to hear where those boats are now coming from. Just looking at the map of France, Dieppe, it's miles and miles and miles away from the usual classic route. As you say, a very dangerous route. Whether that dinghy will make it across, perhaps unlikely. The Home Office are very pleased today that they can announce they've made a huge number of deportations, removals from this country of either illegal migrants or people who've outstayed their visa or perhaps committed a crime over here. But it may be very easy to deport people back to Albania, for example, or perhaps Poland or even Vietnam. But we have some very tricky countries, don't we? Iran, Afghanistan, Pakistan, where unfortunately we have a lot of people who have committed crimes.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head there, Emily. What we're seeing effectively is the low-hanging fruit that is being deported in ever-increasing numbers. Now, they will say, and they are right, that amongst them are hundreds of sex offenders, hundreds of violent criminals, exactly the kind of people you don't want in this country, and you want them deported at the earliest opportunity. But also among them are those that have overstayed their visa, probably from countries like Vietnam, like India, like Albania, countries where it can be very easy to deport them back to without too much of a challenge in the courts here. 70,000 now since Labour came into power, but of that 70,000, a couple of thousand at most are really people we would term as small boat migrants. So very few small boat migrants are still being deported, returned, and that's the figure that really needs to be increased significantly, I think, before people will start to have a degree of confidence that this government is going in the right direction in tackling the small boats crisis.
OK, well, Mark White, live there from Dover. Thanks very much indeed. And get those binoculars out, see if you can see any more small boats coming across during the course of this programme.
Oh, I'm sure you will. Well, in the studio, they're excited to have the CEO of Electoral Calculus, Martin Baxter, because he has some exclusive polling for us here on Good Afternoon Britain. Do tell us.
Yes, Emily, thank you. So we've done some polling along with our friends Find Out Now on how immigration is playing with the British public at the moment. It's always a hot issue. It's normally in the top 3 political issues in the country, along with the economy and the NHS. We asked to start with whether people approved or disapproved of the government's current handling of immigration. And we found 58% disapproved and only 7% approved. So that's a big, in political terms, that's a big difference. But in a way, you'd expect a little bit of that because Labour are unpopular. Most people aren't supporting the Labour government anyway, if opinion polls are to be believed. What was even more interesting is if you look at Labour voters, people who voted Labour at the last general election, only 18% of Labour supporters think the government's doing a good job on immigration.
Now, that is surprising.
And 38% think they're doing a bad job, and there's 45% in the middle and are unsure. So that's not very good for Labour. Obviously, on the reform side, 91% of reform voters think Labour's doing a bad job, but you might expect that, but it does...
I want to meet the 9%.
They're not sure. Then we also asked, that was on immigration in general, on the specific question of boats going across the Channel, who people thought was to blame for that, who or what was to blame. And we gave people a number of options, and that's a more complicated story. The most commonly mentioned group to blame was the smuggling gangs, the people who arranged for the boats to go across the Channel. The current Labour government was second, 28% of people named that, and the French government was third, that people think that France are not doing enough to stop it. Economic pull factors, previous Conservative governments and the ECHR were also mentioned. The good weather we're seeing at the moment was only mentioned by 3%. I think the British public know that throughout the course of the year there'll be some days where there's good weather and some days which is bad weather, but weather on its own is not going to solve this problem.
That is interesting, because very often you will hear politicians point to the weather. It seems that doesn't cut much mustard amongst the British public.
I think they can see through that. But looking at more broadly, other figures from other pollsters, most people do think the government is handling immigration badly and that immigration level has been too high and that current levels are not good. Reform is seen as the better party to stop it. 32% of people say Reform is the best party to stop, 11 for Labour and 7 for the Conservatives.
I wonder if... This is interesting because the level of legal migration has come down considerably from its peak. I wonder if there's a similar effect to the effect of inflation that we saw under the last Conservative government, in that when the election was called, inflation had gone right down to 2%, but the price level was much higher than it was. So the rate of increase was lower, but the inflation was already embedded in the system, and the Conservatives got punished for the inflation that happened previously. I wonder if what explains some of this data about Labour's approach to migration is that they are still being punished for the higher migration level already embedded in the country, even though the inflow is now lower in an analogous way.
Hang on. Didn't 800-odd thousand people arrive in this country last year? It's just that we had 600-odd thousand leave.
Yes, but
so
of course,
people are seeing that immigration is very much high level anyway.
But all of those 600,000 who left.
I just think the net migration figure sort of distorts things.
I think there is a certain level of distortion, but a lot of those who leave are foreign nationals, students and the like.
Yes. But it's still a huge influx. Anyway, sorry, Martin.
That's right. Just to give the picture in its full breadth, people are also in favour of immigration for particular groups. People coming to work in the health system, there's big approval for. The wealthy, people are in favour of wealthy individuals coming to invest. And even genuine asylum seekers, fit by 51 to 36, the population is in favour of those. So people are in favour of some immigration, but the general feeling is that there has been too much recently. And if I can just have a bite of another cherry...
Absolutely. Go on.
On social media, the last time I checked, it is very popular with the public to ban social media. So hear more about that.
Well, there we go.
I wonder if that's because most people feel like they don't... Well, most people don't live online. I think that's still fair to say. Interesting. Yeah.
I think most people do now, don't they?
Well, we are quite a ban-happy country.
We do like bans.
There was some polling after COVID that said, should we ban nightclubs? Not in the context of COVID, but just keep them shut forever. And I think that the YouGov found a slim majority in favour of that.
Here, I'm finished going to clubs. Let's close it. Martin Baxter, thank you very much from Electoral Calculus. Some interesting polling there on attitudes.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to turn now to some international news, because sadly, 2 school children and 2 adults have been killed in a collision between a train and a school minibus over in Belgium.
Yes, Belgium's mobility minister confirmed reports that the barriers on a level crossing had been down when the crash happened.
Well, we're joined now by the editor-in-chief of the Brussels Report, Pieter Klepp. Peter, thanks indeed for joining us. This seems like an extraordinary story where the minivan reportedly turned into the level crossing.
Yeah, it's of course incredibly sad to start with, but also quite strange to hear the prosecutor confirming that the barriers were down, that the red light was perfectly functional, and somehow indeed this minibus with school children age 12 and 15 nevertheless somehow crossed this passage, and a train rode into it. There were 100 people on the train. Nobody on the train was injured.
And what do we know about this area of Belgium? Is it a quiet rural area? Is it a busy built-up area? Tell us a little bit.
Oh, you know, Belgium is sort of one big suburbia, pretty much. So yeah, it's quite busy, and you know, for years it's been a problem that people would mostly by foot try to cross, on these places, even when the barriers were down. But of course, it wouldn't happen when a car or a minivan would do that, because simply the barriers are down. You would have to sort of crash into the barrier somehow. I saw a picture where you could see the barrier up, so maybe that's what happened, but I think it's perhaps too early to speculate.
There will, of course, be people wondering if this was a horrible accident or if this was in some way deliberate. I mean, I suppose the question must be asked, is there going to be an investigation from the police into how this happened?
Well, it's definitely ongoing. People have not openly speculated about that, but indeed, typically I think that's one explanation that should not be excluded, at least from what I've heard. Maybe there's a technical explanation somehow that the barriers didn't work, but at least according to the prosecutor, they seem to be functional.
What an awful tragedy. Peter, thank you very much for bringing us up to date on that deadly crash there in Belgium. You're the editor-in-chief at Brussels Report.
Now, turning back to Britain, the former First Minister of Scotland, Nicola Sturgeon's estranged husband, Peter Murrell, has pleaded guilty to embezzling more than £400,000 from the Scottish Nationalist Party.
Nicola Sturgeon has, of course, denied any knowledge or suspicion that any of the personal items had been purchased using SNP funds.
Well, joining us now is the Reform Party MSP for Mid-Scotland and Fife, Helen McDade. Helen, this is a serious scandal, just the most gargantuan amount of money. Is it likely to be discussed in the Scottish Parliament today?
Well, certainly hope so. Reform, we've tabled an urgent question asking the Scottish Government what discussions it's had with Police Scotland about budget implications. This has cost over £2 million, this investigation Operation Branch Form, and it's gone on for years, and obviously it is a complex case. But this is a huge amount of money, and it's taken a very long time until after the Scottish Parliament elections for Mr Murrell to plead guilty. So that's extended costs as well. So we certainly have a question down. We expect that to be taken. And yes, I would certainly hope that this will not be brushed under the carpet any more than it has been for years.
And will this be a spoken question? Do you know who will be responding?
Well, the afternoon is interesting because it's the First Minister's laying out his implications for Scotland in a general start of the new term way, and
right.
The way forward for Scotland. But this will come after that. I don't know whether he will leave that to some other minister. I think that would be quite difficult politically. I think he has to answer the questions, and certainly he will continue to be pressed on them. So I think the First Minister will have to say something. He will probably say nobody knew anything about this. It was terrible, one rogue man that everybody thought was lovely. The reality of it was committees resigned from the SNP, auditors would not audit their books, and that was many years ago. So it is astonishing that it's taken this long. And the question, of course, that is left to be answered is, what did the First Minister, as she was then, Nicola Sturgeon, know? And when did she know it, or at least suspect it?
Yes, it is remarkable that Peter Murrell seems to, at least on the surface level, have operated in such a silo that literally no one he ever knew, met or knew intimately knew anything of his £400,000 spending spree. I do want to ask you, though, Helen, about the investigation Operation Branch Form. We now have learnt that Nicola Sturgeon, when she was questioned by the police, responded no comment to every question that she was asked. Now, at the time, she said that she was publicly cooperating with the police, but now it seems like behind the scenes there was at least what could be described as obstruction.
Well, these are the questions that need asked. I mean, we've all watched the crime series. We watch people saying no comment on them, and we assume that they're guilty, or at least afraid that they're guilty. And, in her position, she should have been giving the full cooperation. And, of course, there was no sign of that from externally. We can't say. And we would say that, the police have acted with commitment. This was a hard thing for them to do. There's no suggestion that the police on the ground were doing anything other than doing their level level best to follow the evidence. And the evidence was there in those accounts. And Nicola Sturgeon signed them off, as did their treasurer. A previous treasurer resigned, as did others on the committee. So I can't say for the internal workings of the SNP, but there's been speculation about this long before it actually got to the stage the police investigated it. And so the question has to be how on earth his wife could not wonder, and in the position she was, and how did she get in that position? It just seems astonishing that the two of them were two of the three people to sign off accounts.
Well, we'll see what happens later this afternoon with this question. We'll be following it. Of course, all the twists and turns. Helen McDade, thank you very much indeed for your time. Reform MSP for Mid-Scotland and Fife.
Now, Nicola Sturgeon, for her part, has issued the following statement via her lawyers.
I have seen questions raised about how I could not have known about this. I want to reiterate that I had no knowledge or suspicion whatsoever that personal items had been purchased using SNP funds.
I was cleared of any wrongdoing after a lengthy and thorough investigation in relation to many of the items in question, for example, expensive watches and games consoles. I was not aware of them having been purchased at all.
Well, this is Good Afternoon Britain. On GB News, we've got lots more for you.
Yes, Morrison's is removing pointed kitchen knives from sale in a bid to tackle Britain's knife crime epidemic. But will blunting knives really be the tool to stop violent criminals?
Very good, but after the break, we'll speak live to Ellen Room, who says ministers are moving too slowly on banning social media for under 16s. Now, her son, Jules, died aged 14, and she believes a dangerous online challenge may have played a role.
Well, all of that and more to come. You're with GB News, Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What does she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace
Saturday nights from 6 p.m, only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
Because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's Tonight, Late Edition.
Alex Armstrong Tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's now 27 minutes past 12.
Yes, and social media is the new smoking. That's according to medical experts who are warning of an epidemic of harm to children.
Well, the government is being urged to act more quickly to tackle this issue by banning social media for under-16s.
And today, families will meet the Prime Minister face-to-face as the government's growing up in an online world consultation closes.
Well, joining us now is the social media campaigner and mother of Jules Sweeney, who sadly took his own life years ago, Ellen Room. Ellen, first of all, can you just tell us a bit about your own story?
My son Jules was 14 when he died in April 22, 4 years ago. I haven't actually been able to find out exactly what happened because social media companies refused to give me the data. So I've been campaigning to change the law, which has now happened. The crime and policing bill has been amended. So now when a child dies, their social media data will automatically be preserved within 5 days of their death. So you'll never have a parent in my position.
And what do you suspect may have happened to your son?
There was nothing found offline, so there was no mental health issues, there was no sign of any bullying. So I've always said, well, what happened online? So whether that be some sort of online challenge, sort of extortion, or I don't know. And the social media companies have refused to give that to me without a court order. So I've currently applied to the High Court to redo his inquest so I can get a court order, so then go to the social media companies and hopefully obtain his data.
That does seem really extraordinary that, given the sort of, I suppose, priority that is placed upon data protection, that for people under a certain age that doesn't extend to their parents, or that people who lose their lives, that doesn't pass on, as you'd expect many other things to pass on in that situation. I find it extraordinary that these companies haven't sort of responded to you with more than rebuffment.
You'd think, wouldn't they, if they had nothing to hide, they'd say, here you go, parent, I hope you get the answers you're looking for. And yet they just refuse to give it to me without having to jump through these ridiculous hoops. And for me to have to go to the High Court to have to do this, to redo his inquest to get the data, is fundamentally wrong. He's a child and I was his parent.
Yeah, I mean, it's awful to lose a child, I can't imagine, but then to not know what happened to him and not be able to see that data as a parent must be so difficult. So good on you for keeping the campaign going. Now, today you're going to be meeting with the Prime Minister, aren't you, this afternoon, in not too long. What will you be saying to him, in particular around this ban on social media?
So there's, I think, 13 parents going who've all lost children through social media harms. We believe they've lost them through that. And we're meeting Keir Starmer to say, you need to step up and do more. It's too late for me. I don't have any more children, but we can make a difference. The other children are still here. And time again, we see that social media is feeding children harmful material and in some cases dying. We need to take that away, just like with any other product that would be recalled, fixed and then released when it's safe. The government will need to do that and step up and do something.
I'm going to pick my words carefully here because I think your case is absolutely tragic. It is the case that children do sometimes die on trampolines, horse riding, dangerous sports. We don't ban the sports.
We ban products, though.
We don't ban trampolines, even though sometimes children do die on them. Do you think that there is a risk of too blunt an instrument here, with a complete and total ban for under-16s versus more targeted approaches? For example, things like in your case, making sure that parents can have access, making sure parents can have control. Are we going to risk throwing the baby out with the bathwater here?
100% not. No parent can be checking over a teenager's shoulder constantly. So we know that social media feeds children harmful content without them actually having to look for it. So that's been proved in America. We know that it's happening. So it's up to the technology companies to remove those features from their products. The algorithmic data that's fed to them, the automatic live location where we've got predators knowing exactly where your children are. Those social media companies need to take those features away from the children. It's not about the parent checking, because you can't look over your shoulder constantly to see what your children are looking at. That needs to be removed.
Well, Ellen, thank you very much indeed for your time. Really appreciate you coming on, and good luck this afternoon with the Prime Minister and with the other parents of bereaved parents. I really appreciate your time, and very sorry for your loss as well. Ellen Room, there, mother of Jules Sweeney, who she's been campaigning to get that data released. It's quite extraordinary, isn't it, that you you're a parent, you're responsible for a child. Sadly, your child passes and you're unable to get some data which might give you some clues into why that child died.
No, I'm glad the law has changed in this respect, because I do think it stands to reason that particularly for a young child, and particularly maybe for someone under 16, that their data automatically goes to their parents. I mean, where else? Who is the data being protected for if the child is dead?
I do take your point about the trampolines, you know, the skiing, the dangerous sports, whatever. We don't ban them, but what I would say about social media is that it is very clearly addictive. And we do ban addictive products for children. I'm not saying I'm pro or anti a ban. I think that probably that these social media sites need to do more to take away addictive content from children in some way or another, or indeed parents need to step up and monitor what their children are doing more. But I think it's pretty clear that social media is an extremely addictive.
I think if it
how many hours do you spend on social media? And children, it's more intense.
I do it for my job, I suppose. I mean, here's the thing, though. There are lots of bereaved parents seeing the Prime Minister today. Given the amount of attention this has got in the media, you would expect that the number of children who are dying has massively risen in recent years. You'd expect the number of child suicides to have massively risen, teenage suicides to have massively risen in recent years. It hasn't. It's gone down. The number of child suicides was higher in the 1980s and 1990s than it is today.
That's great. That's great. But the amount of anxiety, mental health disorders, ADHD, autism even might be linked to social media in some cases.
I don't think that's
other things. And so, OK, perhaps not, but there's a lot of disorders that are. So, you know, people are rightfully concerned. We'll see how this goes. I do think that the Prime Minister probably wants a legacy when it comes to this one, but we shall see.
Well, this is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News. Lots more still to come.
Yes, Morrison's now is removing pointed kitchen knives from sale in a bid to tackle Britain's knife crime epidemic, apparently. But will this help stop violent crime? Do we need more blunt knives in our shops to solve this one?
But first, your latest news headlines.
Thank you very much and good afternoon. The top stories: the sentences in a rape case that spared 2 teenage boys jail are being sent to the Court of Appeal after a review under the unduly lenient scheme, Sir Keir Starmer has announced. 2 girls were raped in Hampshire by 2 15-year-olds who were given non-custodial sentences by a judge at Southampton Crown Court. 2 schoolchildren and 2 adults have been killed in a collision between a train and a school minibus in Buggenhout in Belgium. The Belgian Mobility Minister confirming reports that the barriers on a level crossing had been down when the crash happened. The bus had been carrying 7 children, a driver and a chaperone at the time of the collision. 3 teenagers have died in separate incidents at beauty spots across England as temperatures reached record highs on Bank Holiday Monday. Police in West Yorkshire, South Yorkshire and Warwickshire have each confirmed the deaths of 2 teenage boys and a teenage girl who were all rescued from open water. The deaths came after a 15-year-old boy drowned in a lake near Lincoln on Sunday. His family have urged others to be aware of the dangers of water. Those are the latest headlines. More at the top of the hour.
Tune in to GB News Radio wherever you are. Online, on DAB Digital Radio, on TuneIn, on Radio Player, on Nation Player and on your smart speaker. Just say, play GB News.
Hi there and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. After the temperature record for May was broken on Monday by 2 degrees, it may well be broken again today as the heat continues to intensify. Last night was the warmest night on record for May, and under this area of high pressure we keep the sunny skies, and temperatures are rising quickly this morning and into the afternoon with widely 30 plus Celsius across a large part of England and Wales. Now, for Scotland and Northern Ireland, once again it's a little cooler, but actually with sunny skies for many. Temperatures are rising compared with the last few days. Low 20s, perhaps mid 20s in some spots. Coolest for the east of Scotland. But those temperatures reaching 35, potentially 36 Celsius in the southeast of England. Towards the east of Scotland, we've got a lot of low cloud and some spots of rain. But western Scotland, widespread sunny skies. And it's here that temperatures are likely to climb into the mid or even approaching the high 20s. Likewise for Northern Ireland, lots of sunshine. Further south with widely 30 Celsius still at 6 p.m. There is the chance late afternoon into the evening of some torrential thunderstorms. This is one of those where it's all or nothing. Many places across central and southern England will see very little, but one or two spots could be hit by a really quite lively thunderstorm because of the intensity of the heat building through the afternoon. And it's another very warm night. Temperatures in some parts, especially towards the southwest, not dropping below 20 Celsius. A stark contrast, though, across many parts of the UK on Wednesday. Now, for Scotland, for northeast England, we've got a lot of cloud rolling in from the North Sea and a cool breeze from the northeast, and that's going to really reduce those temperatures across the east and the southeast, 26 Celsius, with the heat becoming more confined towards the southwest, still 30 Celsius.
Thank you, Britain, for making GB News Radio such a huge success. Whether you're in the car, on the go, or listening at home, thank you for choosing us as your radio station.
Good afternoon, this is the latest AI travel news from GBNews.com. Traffic is restricted on the A9 southbound between Dalrioch and Aberruthven due to a broken down vehicle. The A5 is closed at Menai Bridge with diversions available. In York, delays on the A64 eastbound should clear after 2:45. The M56 westbound between junctions 12 and 14 has a collision closing 2 lanes, causing delays. On the M11 southbound exit slip at junction 7A, 1 lane is closed. And on the trains, Southern Railway services face major disruptions between Eastbourne and Hastings. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Afternoon Britain, it's coming up to 20-1. Now, Morrison's has become the first British supermarket to stop selling sharp-pointed kitchen knives in a bid to tackle knife crime.
I do wonder if this is a bit of a PR exercise to get in the news for Morrison's. But anyway, the retailer says it will now stock rounded tip blades instead, claiming they work just as effectively at the kitchen while reducing the risk of harm.
Well, this comes as police reported nearly 50,000 offences involving knives or sharp instruments last year. I'm delighted to be joined now by the former Met police officer and anti-knife campaigner, Norman Brennan. Norman, I am going to put my cards on the table here. I am so cynical about this. Criminals are the people that are stabbing people. I own lots of pointed knives and I've never stabbed anyone. I mean, are we going after the wrong thing here?
Well, good afternoon, ladies and gents. You're right. It's no more than a gimmick. In fact, it's an elastoplast over a gaping wound, if you pardon the pun. Look, I've been campaigning on knife crime for 37 years, 15 years whilst a serving police officer, having nearly been murdered by an armed robber myself. I know the devastation, I know the dynamics, I know the psychology, I know the law. The long and the short is that the majority of those that carry knives are kitchen knives, and there are tens of millions of kitchen knives around Britain in people's drawers. And to eliminate and get rid of every knife would probably take 20, 30, 40 years. So let's put that aside. I see a couple of other knife campaigners, God bless them, think it's a good idea. I'm probably Britain's lead independent campaigner, and I think it's absolute nonsense. What we really need is some effective action. People like Adam Brooke and myself have teamed up, and what we're saying is to truly tackle knife crime and the scourge of knife crime. There's been 12 stabbings in London in the last 4 days. A teenager is lying in a mortuary now that was stabbed to death last night in Hackney. There were dozens of other people stabbed around Britain. Several of them are lying in mortuaries. We need a minimum of 5 years mandatory sentence for those that carry a knife on the streets unlawfully, and also if it's a child, it's 3 years. And I promise you this, and I've said it in thousands of interviews, Why doesn't anybody in government and the criminal justice system listen to people like me and Adam and those whose lives have been devastated by knife crime? We know the answers. We know the solution.
Well, Norman, I mean, one of the people who's pushing for this is a survivor of the Southport attack in 2024. She's a 36-year-old woman, Leanne Lucas. Now, she's launched this campaign, Let's Be Blunt, and presumably Morrison's have picked up on that. So I guess it depends which survivors you listen to, doesn't it, Norman?
Well, look, I never criticise other victim campaigners. I've spent 50 years in law and order, 31 of those as a police officer. Campaigners don't always agree with each other. I've just given you my experience. God bless this young lady. Of course, we know the devastation. And of course, what she says will probably get more publicity than what I say. But I know the reality of knife crime. I've just given you the statistics over the past few days. We need proper mandatory sentences, and we need the criminal justice system to listen to us. It's a bit like the young lads that were convicted in rapes. There's somebody on LBC this morning saying, well, these children should be allowed to be in the community. No, they shouldn't. 10 rapes, children in the community. Are you having a laugh? Look at the devastation. And as soon as you set a precedent, it's pretty much like with knife crime, pretty much what Lammy has said, those under the age of 18, folks, he said, if you are caught carrying a knife, that you go to an education program. Most of those under 18 that are carrying knives have been discarded from schools. They're not in the education program. It's gimmicks, and I'm afraid it's elastoplast over gaping wounds, as I said earlier on.
Well, Norman, at least that sentencing on that horrific rape cases is being reviewed. That's a good thing, at least. Norman Brennan, thank you very much indeed. Anti-knife crime campaigner there. Interested to get your thoughts at home.
I think maybe we should stop calling it knife crime as if it's the knife's fault and start calling it knife criminals, because it's the people behind the knives that are monsters. Let's go to Downing Street now, where GB News political editor Christopher Hope can join us. He's just left a briefing inside that famous building behind him. Chris, what can you tell us?
Yeah, Tom, a great point about knife crime, knife criminals. It's the criminal, not the knife, that does the crime. Totally a great point. Now, I'm here in Downing Street, a boiling hot day. Normally it's freezing cold here. We're awaiting the arrival of bereaved parents of children who killed themselves. I was looking at social media. That meeting takes place around 2:30 p.m. The PM spokesman said this: the PM will announce a game-changing new policy on the social media issue for young children under 16s. The spokesman carries on. He's absolutely clear. This is something where there needs to be a game changer. We'll be acting quickly. The only question is what we do. This demands a big response, Number 10 says. It's an issue that is growing, but we won't preempt the response. That's because a consultation on what to do about children looking at inappropriate social media closes tonight at midnight. So far, 70,000 people have sent responses in. The PM, of course, doesn't want to get ahead of that, but it's very clear from the fact he's meeting bereaved parents in the building behind me. He's got a minister in Australia right now talking to the Australian government about artificial intelligence, but also how that ban's going down. He started off as being, we think, quite against a social media ban, but he's come round to that in recent months. Part of the problem that they may come across is, we understand from Australia, where there's a mixed picture from how this is working, that some children get around the ban using VPNs, which is a way of almost using online mirrors to deflect who's actually looking at information to stop any ban taking place. And also the suggestions that social media is getting more and more adult in Australia, because people now think children are not watching it. It's much more obviously adult, and that is very difficult for children who get round the ban using VPNs or lying about their age to social media companies. So that looks the direction of travel from this government, and we'll hear news on that shortly, we are told. Elsewhere, just very briefly, so far no response to the PM's call for the Champions League football final to be made free to view on Saturday.
It's like the vape ban, isn't it, in Australia?
Yeah. And
it's fueled a black market.
Yeah, and there's a black market in cigarettes now in Australia, a massive one. Christopher, I hope we're going to have to leave it there, but thanks indeed for joining us there live from Downing Street. Some extraordinary statistic. It's hard to believe. 61% of children are evading the ban in Australia.
Wow.
I mean,
they grew up with this technology.
Teenage kids are very, very good at computers. Probably better at computers than Keir Starmer, if you can quite believe it.
I imagine
61%.
So. Well, a lot of the kids think that you can go like this on a book, don't they? Anyway, this is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News. We've got lots more coming up on today's show. Yes, if you hadn't noticed, it's another scorching day with more May heat temperature records set to be broken.
Well, if you're in search of some holiday sunshine, go to Brighton or Bournemouth or Blackpool. If you'd like to visit the continent, though, here's the weather over there.
Dinner under the stars tonight?
That reminds me of our travel insurance.
You mean all clear skies?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
Hello there. The heat wave continues across much of Central and Western Europe in particular. Lots of hot sunshine to come over the coming days. Temperatures close to 30 Celsius across the Canaries. Sunny spells here. Hot sunshine for Spain and Portugal. Perhaps 1 or 2 thunderstorms in the evening times. The risk of 1 or 2 showers. Southern parts of Italy across to Greece and into Turkey. But temperatures still on the hot side and staying hot over the next few days.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I. Those are just facts. I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that, because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
Needs to stop. You think we can allow?
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
I'm not sure that we used to celebrate VE Day or even the end of the Second World War until recent years, and that's a reflection of the fact that the veterans who fought and took part in that campaign and everyone on the home front are themselves disappearing. Yes, it's partly to do with education. There are huge political pressures on what's in education and in the history package, which of course isn't compulsory. When we were in Iraq and Afghanistan, there was a much higher understanding of what past sacrifice meant. And people, of course, were seen far more often in uniform in the streets, and they were coming back from operational service and about to depart. And that all makes a huge difference. Now, of course, war is very distant. It's in the Gulf. It's in Ukraine. It's not impacting us in the same way that it was doing about 20 years ago.
Matthew, let's bring you in at this stage. Do you think Gen Z is ignorant to Britain's war heroes, or do you think it's just a lack of curiosity?
Yeah, I don't think Gen Z are ignorant. They're just a matter of being the way they've been brought up, how they've been brought up, and when they've been brought up. You know, when this generation have been coming through school, there hasn't been the veterans, because the veterans of the Second World War and the First World War have passed away. So it's not in their face as much. The rhetoric that they're getting taught in schools has been influenced a lot in the past sort of 30, 40 years with more left-wing, and I don't mean, I'm not trying to drag this into a political bias, but there is more left-wing rhetoric getting passed out in school.
GB News, the People's Channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's 10:01. Now, Britain recorded its hottest day in May on record yesterday. Yes, another one, as temperatures hit 34.8 degrees Celsius during the day and failed to drop below 21 degrees overnight.
Oh, I think it was about 27 degrees in my bedroom last night. What was yours?
I don't know, but I had my fan on the whole night. I feel like I should install air conditioning, but it's very expensive.
It is very expensive. Shall we speak to Jack Carson, who's out and about for us? I believe he's at the beach at Weston-super-Mare.
Oh, and you got your chips out, Jack. Sorry to disturb your lunch. What's it like on the beach?
You can always trust me to find the chips, Tom and Emily. There we go. Look at them from the fish shop. Actually, I've been here a few times now. Hello, mate. You okay?
Give me a chip.
Do you want a chip? You enjoying the weather? Yeah. There we go. Lovely stuff. As you can see, lots of people around here loving the weather. I mean, as you say, we've got 28 degrees here. I think it is today at the moment. Not as high as maybe what we've had over the bank holiday weekend and these last 4 days of sun, but it's still absolutely glorious. There's not a cloud in the sky. It's absolutely glorious weather here in Weston-super-Mare. Of course, not as many people on the beach, but it would not surprise me if a few people here maybe shouldn't be on this beach and maybe should be on work and maybe put a bit of a sickie call in this morning to come out and enjoy the beautiful weather. I mean, there's this whole kind of reason we've got this is because of this high pressure in Europe and around the area at the moment, and that heats up the air, which dries the air up, and then the sun hits the floor, and all that compression and all that scientific meteorological reasons mean that basically we get a lot of really nice hot weather. It does mean that, unfortunately, at some point in the next week, it's going to completely go and we're going to be like, where on earth has the sun gone again? But for now, we're enjoying the sunshine. People we've been speaking to today have been reminiscing about the memories that they had in the sunshine as kids. We spoke to one lady earlier this morning who said she first came to Weston-super-Mare in 1976, in that massive summer heat wave when her family were living over in Canada at the time. She's since come and moved here. And that's the thing when you get sunshine like this. You remember those moments that you have as a kid. You remember those times. For me, it's going down to Hunstanton and those kind of places, which was the local beach for us. For other people, it's here. And there's so many people that we've met today that have retired here because they had those memories coming here as a kid. They've come and now they've retired here. And then once you get that ultimately is good for this local economy. So it is the fish and chips from the fish shop. It is the Mr. Whippy ice creams. It is the amusement arcades. It is this beautiful grand pier here. This has had to be rebuilt twice. So it was built originally at the start of the 20th century, had to be rebuilt twice after it burnt down, once in the 1930s and then again at the turn of the millennium. But here it is, once again, providing entertainment, providing really money for the local economy. And this sun that we're getting, these beautiful summer months are so important, as we hear all the time, for these local economies, because a lot of these local businesses, these fish and chip shops and amusement arcades, etc., so I try not to fall over in the sand, rely on this summer trade to then get them through the winter. And when we've seen plenty of British traditions here today as well, with people having donkey rides. I'm not sure a donkey would appreciate me getting on the back of it and go for a ride in this sunshine today, so I think for the moment I'm going to stick to the fish and chips.
Oh, fantastic.
Jack, I was going to ask you, because you mentioned that today, of course, everyone's back at work, unlike yesterday when the beaches were busier. Have you noticed anyone sitting on the beach with a laptop computer? Have you noticed anyone just wiggling a mouse slightly? Because there is the phenomenon of working from home becoming working from beach.
Well, there was an issue, wasn't there, where some people were able to go and work from the cricket a few months ago, but I've not seen any laptops of people deciding to work from home here today. Here we go. Well, there we go. There's that man there with his fish and chips as well.
Well, Jack,
plenty of people coming out. So
it looks like you're making a lot of friends, Jack, down at the beach. You know, pick up some more friends, enjoy a Mr. Whippy. We'll catch up with you in a little bit, and stay cool and hydrated, Jack. Not just chips. Not just chips.
Yeah, get a pint. Maybe later. Oh, my goodness me, another shot of a lovely, beautiful sunshine there. We'll be back in just a moment with many, many more stories. Indeed, looking at the weather in the English Channel. Can Mark White spot any boats? He'll be up next.
Are you dreaming of a ton of tax-free cash this summer? We want to make that dream come true with a stunning £76,543 and 21 pence in cash to spend however you like. Put a new car on the drive or just relax in the knowledge that this year we've got your back. For a chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one Standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB21 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 26th of June. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pulled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Bold.
They are under no illusion.
Ray, are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on a BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What we're going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
From court mornings
to warm family brunches.
From football to tennis in the car.
In the kitchen.
GB News Breakfast is there. With the stories you need and the conversations that matter.
Anyway, let's talk business.
Well, it has been a historic night in British politics.
It's astonishing, isn't it? We're here again. To start your day just right. GB News Breakfast.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's 1 o'clock on Tuesday, the 26th of May. I'm Emily Carver.
And I'm Tom Harwood.
Well, nearly 1,000 migrants have crossed the Channel in a few days, and now a dinghy launched from the furthest south point ever recorded is heading for Britain.
Well, that boat is currently being escorted by a French warship, making very slow but steady progress. It is a very, very far distance away from the beaches normally around Dunkirk and the Pas de Calais, but it shows you the desperate lengths that the people smugglers are going to get away from increased police patrols around the Dunkirk area.
Very interesting. Well, in other news, Sir Keir Starmer is set to announce a new social media policy today, as bereaved families meet him to call for sweeping social media bans for under-16s.
And the French rape survivor Giselle Pellicot says she is deeply shocked after teenage rapists avoided jail, as the case is now sent to the Court of Appeal.
Well, Scotland's former First Minister Nicola Sturgeon says she was deceived by her husband after Peter Murrell admitted embezzling more than £400,000 from the SNP. We'll have more updates on that throughout the programme.
And the author Jilly Cooper has reportedly blasted the producers of Rivals for making her macho men characters cry too much on screen. So has modern TV lost macho men?
Not a bit of it. Now it's another scorcher. More May heat. Temperature records set to be broken today. Jack Carson is enjoying the sunshine and avoiding the children.
Well, there is barely a cloud in the sky here in Weston-super-Mare as hundreds, thousands of people coming to enjoy the 5th day in a row of scorching heat. How long is it going to last? Well, hopefully we're going to make the most of it today, because being at the seaside for the day tastes pretty good.
I like it when he reports with food in his mouth. You know,
yes.
I know it's not good manners, but I think it adds something. It adds something, doesn't it? Je ne sais quoi.
Yeah.
He's in the thick of it.
Have you ever done any reporting with food in your mouth?
No.
I've had to eat a biscuit
Not even at the farm.
Quickly. I've had to, during an advert break, and I've sort of had a biscuit and not realised how close we are. I've had to sort of swallow incredibly quickly a very dry biscuit before then having to speak on the trials and tribulations of this job, honestly.
Actually, I probably have. I was up at a butcher's at one point. I can't remember in which town, actually, now. But, yeah, I think I had a little nibble of something that was already cooked. But Jenny Cooper, now she sadly passed away.
Yes.
Absolute icon in terms of a novelist. Read a lot of her books myself. Have you?
I have not read a single one, no.
Well, they turned one of them.
I don't think they're for me.
They turned the books into a series, and there's a new series out now. And apparently, she was telling the producers that they need to stop making Rupert Campbell Black, who is the iconic character, to cry. He's not supposed to cry. He's supposed to be that strong, silent, stoic, sexy type.
But we're not allowed strong, silent, stoic chaps in television anymore.
You feel like you don't fit in anymore?
Everyone, I don't
Stiff upper lip.
I don't know how strong, silent and stoic I am. I'll leave that for others to
Well, you've
decide.
never wept on this show.
I have never wept on this programme. I don't know. Sometimes I'm excitable. Perhaps that
You're
doesn't hit
excitable,
me,
yeah. You're excitable. And a lot of people love that. They write in to say they like how you're an excitable puppy sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, it depends how... I don't know. Is that a sign of... Well, do you know what?
If Keir Starmer brings in a social media ban for under-16s, Tom is going to get more excitable than you've ever seen in your life. You're going to be very unimpressed, aren't you?
Well, I mean, I'm just going to point out how the Prime Minister has studiously avoided the data that we have got from Australia and indeed in this country.
We want evidence-based policy, not vibes. Anyway, it is the news headlines with Tatiana.
Emily, thank you. The top stories: the sentences in a rape case that spared 2 teenage boys jail are being sent to the Court of Appeal after a review under the unduly lenient schemes that Keir Starmer has announced. 2 girls were raped in Hampshire by 2 15-year-olds who were given non-custodial sentences by a judge at Southampton Crown Court who said he wanted to avoid criminalising them unnecessarily. Well, the Prime Minister has spoken today.
It is distressing. I find it distressing as a politician. I find it distressing as a father. And there are questions about the sentence. The Attorney General has power to refer a case to the Court of Appeal if the Attorney General thinks that the sentence is too lenient. The Attorney General has now exercised that power, so I can announce that that case now will go to the Court of Appeal, and the Court of Appeal will now review the sentence in that case, and that is clearly the right outcome.
2 school children and 2 adults have been killed in a collision between a train and a school minibus in Buggenhout in Belgium. The Belgian Mobility Minister confirmed reports that the barriers on a level crossing had been down when the crash happened. The bus had been carrying 7 children, a driver and a chaperone at the time of the collision. Bereaved parents of young people who've died because of links to social media will be meeting the Prime Minister in Downing Street today, urging him to ban social media for under-16s. We now know the Prime Minister will be unveiling a new social media policy today. According to the most senior doctors, social media use ranks with smoking as a threat to the health of young people. Opposition Assistant Whip Katie Lamb spoke to GB News.
Parents and of course bereaved parents especially are deeply worried and frustrated and upset at this issue, at how long it's taken. It's like with everything, it's important to get it right. It's important to get the enforcement mechanism right, and sometimes that can take a little bit of time. But there doesn't really seem to be any sense of urgency from this government to do absolutely anything whatsoever.
In other news, forecasters are warning temperatures could reach 35 degrees in parts of England today as a record-breaking heatwave continues. On Monday, the UK recorded its all-time highest May temperature as part of London reached 34.8 degrees. That figure recorded in Kew Gardens also surpassed the hottest bank holiday Monday on record at 33.3 degrees back in August of 2019. The highest temperatures are expected in southeast England, while other areas in England and Wales will climb to the high 20s. Meanwhile, 3 teenagers have died in separate incidents at beauty spots across England as temperatures reached record highs on Bank Holiday Monday. Police in West Yorkshire, South Yorkshire and Warwickshire have each confirmed the deaths of 2 teenage boys and a teenage girl who were all rescued from open water. The deaths came after a 15-year-old boy drowned in a lake near Lincoln on Sunday. His family have urged others to be aware of the dangers of water. Much of England remains under UK Health Security Agency amber and yellow heat health alerts. Elsewhere, thousands of foreign criminals convicted of the most abhorrent offences have been removed from British soil as part of the government's drive to ramp up removals of those with no right to be in the UK. It comes as nearly 70,000 migrants have returned since this government came to power, and it's part of major reforms to the UK immigration system to remove the incentives attracting illegal migrants to the country. New figures published this week reveal nearly 100 murderers, 600 sexual offenders and 600 violent criminals are no longer on British soil. The former First Minister of Scotland, Nicola Sturgeon's estranged husband, Peter Murrell, has pleaded guilty to embezzling more than £400,000 from the Scottish National Party. Nicola Sturgeon has denied any knowledge or suspicion that personal items had been purchased using SNP funds. Scottish First Minister John Swinney expressed his personal horror on the issue. Well, Nicola Sturgeon has said, "I want to reiterate that I had no knowledge or suspicion whatsoever that personal items had been purchased using SNP funds." She goes on to say, "I was cleared of any wrongdoing after a lengthy and thorough investigation. In relation to many of the items in question, for example, expensive watches and game consoles, I was not aware of them having been purchased at all." And breaking news, oil giant BP has removed its chairman after serious concerns were raised, the company has said. Albert Manifold has been removed with immediate effect after the company's board said it's been surprised and disappointed to learn of governance, oversight and conduct issues. It deemed these issues unacceptable and said it had taken decisive action. More on that story in the next hour. But for now, here's the finance.
Tune in to GB News Radio wherever you are. Online, on DAB Digital Radio, on TuneIn, on Radio Player, on Nation Player and on your smart speaker. Just say, play GB News.
Taking the ups and downs in our stride. Stilts Home Lifts sponsors the GB News Finance Report.
The pound will buy you $1.35 and €1.16. The price of gold at £3,352. The FTSE 100 is currently at 10,531 points.
GB News Finance Report, brought to you by Stilts Home Lifts.
Good afternoon, Britain. At 10 minutes past 2, GB News can reveal.
One.
Oh, I'm wishing the show away. It's 10 minutes past 1. Do you want to just?
Very important. It's very.
I'm just gonna go over here, enjoy the sunshine. You take this one.
It's very. Do you need to loosen your tie like you did yesterday? Is that what's going on?
Getting all flustered.
Getting all flustered. So yes, it's 10 past 1, and GB News can reveal that now over 1,000 small migrants have crossed the Channel just over the bank holiday weekend.
Well, it comes as a migrant boat has launched from the furthest away beach ever recorded, as people smugglers attempt to outsmart French police patrols.
Well, GB News Home Security Editor Mark White joins us from Dover. Now, Mark, you've been tracking a boat that's come all the way from Dieppe.
Yeah, and it's struggling, to be honest, because it is so far south, really on the limits of what these flimsy dinghies can do. It's about 100 miles south of the normal beaches that are favoured by the people smuggling gangs, simply because it's the shortest crossing distance really between France and the UK, about 22 miles at its narrowest point around Calais and Dunkirk. But instead, you're right, all the way down Dieppe, This boat launched from a beach south of Dieppe early this morning, about 8 a.m, and has been out there ever since. A French warship has taken over from a local lifeboat out of Dieppe, which had escorted it into the open channel initially, but they've been sort of circling round it. I think they'll either take some of the migrants off, as they sometimes do if it's too overcrowded, or it may be that those on the boat just give up, because it's got to be at least 8 hours or so in the water before it gets to the UK, and that's a very long time to have the sun beating down on you, but also the cold of the water in the channel with your legs over these boats sticking in the water. But I think what it goes to show you is the very extreme lengths now that the people smugglers are willing to go to try to avoid the extra police patrols which are now out in force around, in particular, the Dunkirk and Calais area. That's ever since we, the United Kingdom, gave the French, or agreed to give them, £662 million as part of an enhanced package to patrol their own beaches. Now, part of that deal is to provide another 400 French police officers to patrol those beaches. And I have to say that we have noticed this in the last few weeks. There have been additional patrols. There have been more boats that have been stopped, and migrants stopped from getting onto the boats on the beaches around Dunkirk. And that's clearly making a difference, because we're seeing them also launching from Belgium, but then the opposite extreme all the way down, certainly around the Boulogne area. And as well as this launch from Dieppe today, we've got one more small boat in the water, making good progress, we're told, from a beach just south of Boulogne, Equin Plage, now heading out and about to be greeted by 2 border security command vessels that are steaming their way south to meet up with this French patrol once they get into that halfway point, the central separation zone it's known as, between France and the UK.
Doesn't this just show what we've suspected for so long, that we can't outsource this problem to the French authorities? Because even when they up the policing, what happens is that the people smugglers move further away, they find different routes, they find different options, and that actually this is a domestic problem, and we need to change the pull factors over here and potentially just deport every single illegal migrant that arrives in this country.
Yeah, I think those are excellent points, because at the end of the day, yes, it's going to be disruptive to people smugglers. They're going to have to try to play that game of whack-a-mole and pop up in areas that the French authorities are not expecting them in. But the fact is, no matter how much we give the French, 100 miles of coastline, and that's without even including the miles of coast up into Belgium, but 100 miles of coastline is an extraordinary endeavour to try and be in the right place to get a migrant launch, whatever technology you might have to try and do that. So yes, you've got to then try and reduce the pull factors, and the biggest pull factor of all, in my opinion, is the fact that if you make it safely across the English Channel to the UK, you are very, very unlikely ever to be removed. Out of the now more than 200,000 small boat migrants who have crossed illegally from France since 2018, we have removed just over 7,000. That is a tiny proportion of the numbers crossing, and under Labour it's just a few thousand as well. They've done slightly better than the Conservatives did in their last year or two in office, but it is not a lot in terms of acting as any kind of a disincentive.
OK, well, Mark White, thank you very much indeed. We'll keep a close eye, of course, on the comings and goings, well, they're all comings, of the Channel.
Well, it's like it, doesn't it?
Although I did have to say, when Mark said 100 miles of French coastline, it did remind me of the coastline paradox, that depending on how long your ruler is, the coastline can grow and grow and grow, because they're all very wiggly. This was found by a mathematician in the 1950s about how long is Britain's coastline. And depending on the size of the ruler that you use, you can double, triple, you could even quadruple the length of
Right, OK. That's very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. Shall we speak to Christopher Hope, our political editor? Because he's got something very interesting to tell us, I hope. Christopher, you're outside number 10. There's quite a lot of action there today, isn't there? On the social media, but also on the small boat crossings crisis.
Yes, that's right. That's right, Emily, and hi there, Tom. Yeah, the government was asked about these 4 days of consecutive crossing, as Mark White, they're revealing well over 1,000 now arriving in these past 4 days over this boiling hot bank holiday weekend. Now, the government says that they are committed to working together with France on this so-called one-in, one-out deal. And, of course, also part of this deal, the more people who are stopped from coming from northern France, we pay them more money, going up to £660 million. Migrants are arriving by a small boat are for the first time being detained and returned, number 10 says. So they say that despite the numbers coming across, the system is starting to work. That's notwithstanding the numbers being held in government-supported accommodation. That's HMOs, houses of multiple occupation, hotels, or increasingly army camps. So the government says they are doing their best to deal with those who arrive. But of course, with 1,000 plus arriving in 4 days, it seems as the numbers are removed from this country, the government says, more are arriving. I'm here in Downing Street, which for once is quite warm. Normally it's freezing cold. We're waiting for the parents of children who have killed themselves, having seen images or been urged to by messaging on social media. That meeting takes place at 2:30 p.m. The Prime Minister will be here for that. There'll be a roundtable meeting. I think we're hearing more and more ambitious remarks from the Prime Minister about what to do about social media and young people looking at it. The government says this: will be seeing a game-changing announcement from the government on this idea of maybe even banning some under-16s from watching social media. The PM spokesman says he's absolutely clear. There is something where there needs to be a game-changing response. We'll be acting quickly, we're told. The only question now is what the government does. It will be a big response, we're told. It's an issue that's growing, but they won't preempt that response. They say that because there are 70,000 responses to the online consultation that ends at midnight tonight. So until they've been through those, they can't really get ahead of it. But clearly, the government is saying action will be taken, and soon.
Very interesting. We'll catch up with you in a little bit. Enjoy the warm Downing Street for now. That's Christopher Hope, our political editor. It's a bit of a wind tunnel normally, isn't it?
It's normally freezing, although I can imagine the problem is that you're trapped there. So I can imagine on a day like today, you need a lot of water, because otherwise... But then you'll need the loo.
He's got his linen suit on.
You have to go through airport security every time. It's a nightmare street.
Absolutely
anyway.
nightmare.
Yeah.
Nightmare job, political reporting. Anyway, the UK is, of course, very hot today. Temperatures hit 34.8 degrees during the day yesterday, and it didn't drop below 21 degrees overnight.
Well, temperatures will continue to remain high throughout the day, with heat health alerts remaining in place across England.
Well, someone who's enjoying the sun is Jack Carson, who's in Weston-super-Mare. Jack, where are you now? Oh.
always with an item of food.
The promenade. I'm being rude, and I'm being rude. Well, I've done the fish and chips for lunch. Now I've got the ice cream. It's just natural when you're at the seaside here, especially at lunchtime when you guys are on. But I've been trying to see your challenge of...
Oh.
I think we've got some connection problems, clearly. There are a lot more people at the beach than it looks who are all using their mobile phones.
It's sad, isn't it, that everyone has to go to work and there's no one left at the beach?
Let's see if we can re-establish connection there. Jack, are you there?
Yay.
I am back indeed, still enjoying my ice cream as it melts away into this blazing, scorching sun. I was saying that we were looking for people working from the beach, as you challenged me with last time. I've not been able to find anyone with a laptop working away. I think people are just here enjoying the sun. Plenty of windbreaks out, plenty of people keeping the shade as well. I've been having my hat on as well in this scorching sunshine. We're currently at 27 degrees. I'm still going to here, 28 degrees, highest we're going to get here, we think, today. But of course, people here enjoying the sun. We've been speaking to them earlier on. Take a listen. What do you think to this today, this sunshine?
Beautiful, beautiful, absolutely first class.
I absolutely love the sunshine, but we have to come out really early because the dog is too hot.
I hate it. It's too hot for me.
What have you thought of the last few days then?
Trying to get cool, but it's nearly impossible.
Bring it on.
Yeah, so lots of people loving it. That lady there, not so sure. It did get to a point yesterday when I was at the cheese roll where it just felt a little bit just too much. Today, we've got a little bit of a breeze here on the promenade, so it's doing all right, but it's certainly not low enough to be to keep my ice cream here. It's melting away quickly, so if you don't mind, I'm going to eat it while I can.
Fantastic. You get back to that ice cream.
There's always someone who complains, isn't there?
Oh.
Anyway, I hope she's keeping cool. This is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News. Lots more coming up.
Yes, Wes Streeting says social media is as addictive as smoking. Really? And wants a ban for under 60s.
I think it's even more addictive.
If it's as addictive, if it's worse than smoking, then why is the government banning smoking for everyone? But not... Anyway, is he right to compare TikTok and Instagram to cigarettes? My goodness. We'll debate that.
But after the break, the French rape survivor Gisèle Pellicot says she is deeply shocked after 3 teenage boys in this country avoided jail for raping 2 girls.
Well, all of that and more to come with GB News, Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays, I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off-limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dordme, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
the Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
Because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's Tonight, Late Edition.
Alex Armstrong Tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
because
the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
.26 is the time. You're watching Good Afternoon Britain. Now, the Prime Minister has said the Court of Appeal will review the sentences of 3 teenage boys who were spared jail over the rape of 2 girls in Hampshire following significant public backlash.
Well, the French rape survivor, Gisèle Pellicot, said that she was deeply shocked that the boys had avoided custodial sentences. Take a listen.
Deeply shocked that these individuals were able to, in fact, gain their freedom again when, in fact, the victims are suffering so hard they'll never be able to heal. After all, rape is a crime and justice has an essential role. It's there to, in fact, name the crimes, to recognise the suffering of victims and to remember that, in fact, they must not remain unpunished.
I mean, what happened to that woman there, that French woman, was absolutely horrific. So it's interesting that she's spoken out on this case here in the UK. So things are moving, though, in a positive direction. Sir Michael Ellis, who's joining us now, former Attorney General.
Hello, Emily and Tom. Hi. Well, so far, yes, but this is a very early stage. What really is going to matter is what are the 3 appeal court judges going to say. I think they'll expedite this case. It'll probably be heard in the next few weeks. Might take them a month or 2. But they are going to review this sentence and decide whether they should interfere with it, replace it with an increased sentence. It's not inevitable that they're going to do that because they're going to have a look at what the judge did compared to the guidelines that require judges to pass sentences. Now, if these individuals were 13 or 14 at the time, I know they're 15 now, but the relevant period is the date on which the offence was committed, not the date of the age they are at the time of sentencing. Now, you can incarcerate people of that age in a secure training facility or even 10 and 11-year-olds in secure centres. Young offender institutions only start at 15, between 15 and 21. But I think there's a pretty difficult issue here for the government because they're making all the noises now, the Prime Minister, for example, saying how it's the right thing and how he's appalled by this sentence. But a lot of the mood music that the government has been pushing quite openly, I mean, they've got a bill that they're planning to put before both houses of Parliament, which is going to reduce the ability of judges to pass sentences of less than 12 months. It's going to increase the ability for the prisons to release prisoners early from their sentences, many months early. And they also are talking about increasing the age of criminal responsibility to 14. So at the moment it's 10. So all of the mood music coming from the government is actually rather supportive of this judge and what he did, to be quite frank with you. Now, of course, because it's agitated so many people, and understandably so, they are saying that they're appalled by it. But the lesson is going to be about the sentencing guidelines, because they're out of kilter with what the public, I think, would expect.
I think there was a really, really interesting element of what Giselle Pellico said in that interview, which was talking about what the victims expect of the system.
Yes.
And she used the word punishment. Very often it seems to me that a lot of judges will think their primary role is rehabilitation. How do we make sure that the person who has committed the crime is fed back into society, rather than considering the rights of the victim and, frankly, the role of our judicial system for punishment?
Yes. Exactly, Tom. And the truth is that it's got to be some of both. Yes, of course, rehabilitation is a factor, but I think the dial has moved far too far towards that because it's not actually being fair to the victims of these crimes. And it's not just young people. This is applying to all age ranges. We're not seeing severe enough sentences. There hasn't been enough of an investment in the prison estate, so prisons are full and falling to pieces. There needs to be far more money put into prisons. Of course, there's no votes in that. That's the perception, anyway, that there's no votes in putting money into prisons. But that's what needs to happen into our prison service and into the prison estate so that we can actually incarcerate people, because the reality is it's out of kilter with what the public expect.
Just very quickly, and I'm not saying this of this particular judge, just to be clear, but do you think that there might be a little bit of a left-wing, progressive kind of ideological problem among some judges in our system?
Well, I like to be frank on GB News. I always am. And I think, yes, there is. And I'm not going to say that about this judge because he may very well have followed the guidelines. And, Tom, you talk about rehabilitation. The guidelines do prioritise for young people rehabilitation very much first and foremost. So it's going to be interesting to see whether the Court of Appeal feel that he went too far. But the short answer is I think we have got a problem with that. Like so much of society, the dial has moved towards this sort of agenda of softly and rehabilitation and less on punishment. There actually needs to be more punishment. That's what the public want.
Yes, and also it shouldn't take huge amounts of media and public backlash, perhaps, for some sentences to be rethought. But that's how it is, isn't it? So, Michael Ellis, thank you very much indeed.
Thanks, guys.
Well, this is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News. Lots more coming up on today's programme. But first, an update on those very latest news headlines.
Thank you very much. The top stories, the sentences in a rape case that spared 2 teenage boys jail are being sent to the Court of Appeal after a review under the unduly lenient scheme Sir Keir Starmer has announced. 2 girls were raped in Hampshire by 2 15-year-olds who were given non-custodial sentences by a judge at Southampton Crown Court. Elsewhere, 2 schoolchildren and 2 adults have been killed in a collision between a train and a school minibus in Buggenhout in Belgium. The Belgian Mobility Minister confirmed reports that the barriers on a level crossing had been down when the crash happened. The bus had been carrying 7 children, a driver and a chaperone at the time of the collision. 3 teenagers have died in separate incidents at beauty spots across England as temperatures reached record highs on Bank Holiday Monday. Police in West Yorkshire and South Yorkshire and Warwickshire have each confirmed the deaths of 2 teenage boys and a teenage girl who were all rescued from open water. The deaths came after a 15-year-old boy drowned in a lake near Lincoln on Sunday. His family have urged others to be aware of the dangers of water. Those are the latest headlines. More in half an hour.
Tune in to GB News Radio wherever you are. Online, on DAB Digital Radio, on TuneIn, on Radio Player, on Nation Player and on your smart speaker. Just say, play GB News.
Thank you, Tatiana. Lots more coming up on today's programme.
Yes, Wes Streeting, the former health secretary, says social media is as addictive as smoking and wants a ban for under 16s. Will Keir Starmer follow that advice, and is he right to compare TikTok and Instagram to cigarettes? We'll debate that.
Well, all of that and more to come. You're with GB News, Britain's #1 news channel.
Hi there and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. After the temperature record for May was broken on Monday by 2 degrees, it may well be broken again today as the heat continues to intensify. Last night was the warmest night on record for May, and under this area of high pressure we keep the sunny skies, and temperatures are rising quickly this morning and into the afternoon with widely 30 plus Celsius across a large part of England and Wales. Now for Scotland and Northern Ireland, once again it's a little cooler, but actually with sunny skies for many. Temperatures are rising compared with the last few days, low 20s, perhaps mid 20s in some spots, coolest for the east of Scotland, but those temperatures reaching 35, potentially 36 Celsius in the southeast of England. Towards the east of Scotland, we've got a lot of low cloud and some spots of rain, but western Scotland, widespread sunny skies, and it's here that temperatures are likely to climb into the mid or even approaching the high 20s. Likewise for Northern Ireland, lots of sunshine. Further south with widely 30 Celsius still at 6 p.m. There is the chance late afternoon into the evening of some torrential thunderstorms. This is one of those where it's all or nothing. Many places across central and southern England will see very little, but 1 or 2 spots could be hit by a really quite lively thunderstorm because of the intensity of the heat building through the afternoon. And it's another very warm night. Temperatures in some parts, especially towards the southwest, not dropping below 20 Celsius. A stark contrast, though, across many parts of the UK on Wednesday. Now, for Scotland, for northeast England, we've got a lot of cloud rolling in from the North Sea and a cool breeze from the northeast, and that's going to really reduce those temperatures across the east and the southeast, 26 Celsius, with the heat becoming more confined towards the southwest, still 30 Celsius.
Thank you, Britain, for all of you who listen to GB News Radio.
Whether you're at home or on the go, you're making us Britain's news channel and Britain's radio station.
Good afternoon. This is the latest AI travel news from GBNews.com. A broken down vehicle affects the A92 southbound between Chapel Junction and Red House roundabout. The M25 clockwise in Buckinghamshire faces delays between junctions 16 and 17 due to a collision closing one lane. A 34 southbound in Hampshire has 20-minute delays, while the A5036 near the M57 has 10-minute delays. On the M5 northbound, a broken-down vehicle has closed one of 4 lanes between Junction 5 and Junction 4A. And on the trains, major disruption continues on southern services between Eastbourne and Hastings. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Welcome back. Oh, sorry, you keep doing that.
No, I don't mind.
One of us pauses for too long. Anyway.
We should really decide beforehand. But
It does give a suggestion. Yeah. Anyway, 1:37 is the time. Social media is the new smoking, according to medical experts who are warning of an epidemic of harm to children.
Well, the government is being urged to act more quickly to tackle this issue by banning social media for under 16s.
And today, families will meet the Prime Minister face-to-face as the government's growing up in an online world consultation closes.
So let's debate this now. We're joined by the psychologist and social commentator Pam Spur and the research associate at the Adam Smith Institute, Viggo Turling. Pam, let's start with you. Should the government decide to act on this suggestion that social media is akin to smoking?
Yes, I do think the government should act. I do think it should be banned for at least the under 16s. Let's not forget that during the teens and early 20s, the brain is still being rewired. And when recent studies have looked at the brain activity during social media usage, it has found that there are profound implications for the reward and pleasure center of the brain, like the mesolimbic pathway. That lights up when you share a post on social media and people like it and they share it. And you get those feel-good brain chemicals like dopamine being pumped out. And your brain thinks, oh, I like this. And so you want to do more. And 2 other factors that play into this is 2 things that make addiction more easy to happen to someone is sort of easy access to something. And there's very easy access to social media and speedy rewards to your brain's reward center. So there are very speedy rewards when people hit on your post and they like it and share it. So
Pam, would you go, just considering that, would you go all the way to a ban on the under 25s?
No, I'd say the under 18s, because I think, like with so many things we allow from 18 onwards, people need to find their own way. But I am extremely concerned. The research that passes my desk, I did work as a child psychologist in the NHS. I stopped that work many years ago, but I continue to be involved with different organizations that are interested in child psychology. And the reports of the parents who are just devastated when they realize they've allowed their 15, 16, 17-year-old, even younger, on social media, and how their child is just in the grip of what can only be described as an addictive cycle. So I'm very alarmed by that. There is an age, though, as I say, 18 is the age where we're allowed to do so many things. We're allowed to vote and, we can drink.
16 voting now, driving 17. So we'd be having voters and drivers not allowed to use Twitter. Shall we turn to Viggo just before we come back to you, Pam? Viggo, what do you make of this suggestion?
Look, while I completely acknowledge and understand the sense of feeling that's motivating these discussions around a social media ban, my opinion is that what we're seeing from Australia, which implemented such a ban recently, it's simply not working. The Molly Rose Foundation, for example, which was founded to combat issues around social media usage causing harm to children, has found in the survey that upwards of 60% of 12 to 15-year-olds are finding ways to circumvent this ban through VPNs or through a lack of enforcement by the social media companies themselves. Rarely these interventions work, and we saw that in this country with the online safety bill as well. After it was passed, we saw a spike in VPN usage upwards of 2,000%. So no, Tom, I don't agree with any suggestions that we should ban social media usage.
But Viggo, for coming from the Adam Smith Institute, you wouldn't probably want any regulation, would you?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. Obviously, I think the instinct of many people is to regulate first and think second. I acknowledge the fact that there are real concerns around social media usage and the addictiveness of it and what it's doing to our brain chemistry, our dopamine centers, as was suggested. I think we can have a discussion about state intervention to reduce harm for the public good, but a wholesale ban simply doesn't work, and we should reject any suggestions of it, in my opinion.
OK, Pam, why don't we get you to respond to that specific question on whether things are working in Australia? It does seem extraordinary that there is such a high percentage of children who are just evading it.
Yeah, well, I think that's down to parental neglect. Parents should know if their children are conniving to find ways around social media. They're social media banned. It's also down to the social media companies, too, who aren't just not doing their duty. And I say, if your child sneaks alcohol at age 15, are you just going to say, sure, go on, just drink as much as you want? We have to face the fact that kids will try and get around all these things. Doesn't mean we should give up trying. I never believe in giving up. I've raised children. I'm helping to raise grandchildren. I've worked, as I say, as a child psychologist. I know how much children will try and do things. The natural separation from the parental, code of how you should behave. But doesn't mean we give up on them and just say, okay, free for all, can't stop it.
Yeah.
So we won't even bother.
Pam, that's interesting. Would you say that children should not have any alcohol at all before the age of 18? Or do you think responsible parents might teach children how to use alcohol? Perhaps have some at dinner, perhaps on a 16th birthday party, allow there to be beer and all the rest of it? I mean, surely there's a sliding scale here.
There is a sliding scale. It's interesting you say that, because I was brought up in a family who agreed that, start introducing your child, to little sips and get used to the taste and see what moderate drinking is and responsible drinking is. And that's what I did with my children, around maybe 14, 15, let them have a little sip of wine, try it. And then a big research study came out about 10 years ago showing that actually that's a slippery slope and it's not the best way to go with alcohol. So we have to look at each of these domains of behaviour separately.
Okay, well, maybe we say you're allowed one tweet a day.
It's a time-limited... I'm sorry, we are running out of time. Pam, we started with you, so let's finish with Vigo. Just a final comment on this debate, which I'm sure will not end today.
Indeed, and like I said, all the evidence coming from Australia shows that a wholesale ban on social media isn't working. And I would just end with this. I think the way Streeting and Starmer have equated it to smoking is frankly intellectually lazy. Smoking kills 80,000 people a year in this country, and I would challenge anyone to find statistics that show social media addiction to be as harmful as smoking is.
Well, Vigo Turling and Pam Spur, thank you very much indeed for your time. That's a debate that will keep rumbling on, as Tom says. But there you go.
Yeah, no, I think it is a fascinating one. Everyone's got an opinion, and we are still at the foothills of how the world is responding to this. I just worry about Britain going to one extreme, where lots of countries are going to find a different solution.
Just to look like you're doing something.
Yeah.
Well, this is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News. Yes, the author, Gilly Cooper, reportedly blasted the producers of Rivals, that's a TV show, for making her macho men cry too much on screen. So has modern television lost macho men?
Well, before that, let's check up on the weather in Europe.
Dinner under the stars tonight?
That reminds me of our travel insurance.
You mean All Clear Skies?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
Hello there. The heat wave continues across much of Central and Western Europe in particular. Lots of hot sunshine to come over the coming days. Temperatures close to 30 Celsius across the Canaries. Sunny spells here. Hot sunshine for Spain and Portugal. Perhaps 1 or 2 thunderstorms in the evening times. The risk of 1 or 2 showers. Southern parts of Italy across to Greece and into Turkey. But temperatures still on the hot side and staying hot over the next few days.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's News Channel.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Retracing old steps. Paul Terry fought here in the Netherlands during World War II when he was just a teenager. Now, aged 100, he's returned to pay his respects to those he served alongside and to remember those who didn't make it back home.
I am one of the lucky ones, and it's an honour to come back and to be able to salute these brave men that fought and gave their lives. It gives me great pleasure and honour to be back amongst them, it really does.
There are 1,625 British World War II soldiers buried here. Many of them died while fighting in Operation Market Garden, a crucial fight for the Bridge of Arnhem, just a few miles away from here, seen as a key route into Germany and crucial for defeating the Nazis.
Large parts of Holland greeted the Allied troops as the armies swept on.
The British World War II veterans are brought here by the taxi charity for military veterans. They've driven them here from England in black cabs.
It's important for remembrance and to learn the stories of the people, of the veterans that were there. It's a generation you're never going to see again, the people we owe so much to. So for me, just to bring them here is just a small way of saying thank you.
At the Airborne Division's own cemetery, Holland and Britain joined in a more personal tribute, visiting the resting places so long tended with loving care.
Remembrance events at the Arnhem War Graves have taken place for the last 81 years.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you.
Bulletins on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akua, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Well, good afternoon, Britain. It's 1:49. Now, the author of the book Rivals and lots of others like Polo, Riders, Mount, Tackle, even.
She wrote one called Mount?
Yes, it's all very sexy.
And one called Tackle?
But sadly, she passed away last year. But she's said to have scolded the producers of the popular TV adaptation for making her macho men characters cry too often on screen.
Well, an executive producer said that the late author largely gave free rein to adapt the books, but disliked it when the television writers made her male characters cry.
Now, this goes very much against the new zeitgeist, doesn't it? Does this new era of men showing emotion on screen mark the end of the macho man?
Well, joining us now in the studio is the former Bond girl, Madeline Smith.
Looking awful.
No, you look splendid.
And Madeline, you knew Jilly Cooper.
I met Jilly Cooper must have been 1970 or 71. I was invited to be one of the judges of Miss United Kingdom, which led to Miss World, right? So Miss United Kingdom and little whispers in our ear, you know, which one to judge and so on. And my co-judges were Jilly Cooper, Diana Dawes, photographer Patrick Litchfield, and me.
How fabulous.
We had a lot of fun, a lot of champagne, a lot of ironing of frocks and things. And my memory of Jilly is that she was wearing a sleeveless black dress and was heaps of fun. And as a result of meeting her and rollicking around on a big bed, she invited me to be in a series of hers called It's Awfully Bad for Your Eyes, Darling, that I couldn't do.
Oh.
And I've been hitting myself ever since.
That is such a shame when you think, oh, I wish I'd been able to do that.
Yeah. Yes, and it was super.
And you're still thinking about it now.
Yes.
It just sticks with you, right?
Yes, it does.
So can you imagine her, striding up to the producers of this adaptation of one of her books and saying, stop making Rupert Campbell Black, who's supposed to be the sexy icon of the book with the stiff upper lip, cry all the time?
No, horrible. I don't like men crying. I don't like men crying in real life. It doesn't really suit them. There's something seriously wrong if they do. Usually when they've had far too much to drink and feel very sick. I see a lot of that because I'm in the sort of Twickenham area and they all go to the rugby.
Oh, right, yes. Crying rugby fans.
Yes.
Sight to behold.
Weeping and weeping. No, I don't like it. And I believe they're looking for a new Bond, and I don't want him to cry.
No. And you don't want him to be a woman? Presumably.
I absolutely don't, because it's away from the original book. It's got nothing to do with having a woman playing anything, but not Bond, because Ian Fleming would be weeping.
It does seem interesting, whether it's a Gilly Cooper novel or an Ian Fleming novel. The film adaptations made this century seem to drift in so many different ways societally.
Yes, I agree with you.
And that seems to be slightly concerning, that we're losing something there.
Well, I think men are becoming they're not really becoming wimpy, but they are portrayed as wimpy, and that is very upsetting. I think.
But you're very outdated with all of this. It's all about men showing their emotions these days. There's podcast after podcast about how men need to open up more and you shouldn't be afraid to cry and all of this and that.
That's fine to be done privately, right, and certainly with your psychiatrist or counsellor or whatever.
Leave it for the therapy
But I do think it should be behind the scenes. I genuinely do. I think all of us get extremely embarrassed, I think, to see people crying and weeping in front of us. I think so. I absolutely believe in opening out, but not in public.
I think it is very interesting that very often there is a societal move that has been promoted by people who find it very easy to cry, whereas but biologically men do find it difficult. Men cry less easily than women. That's just biology.
They do.
Sometimes we have to deny that now in television.
Do. I will give you an example. I had a husband years ago, David Buck, an actor, and he said to me, the only time I ever cry is when I hear a trumpet concerto played. And it's absolutely true. He wept copiously, but never any other time.
Well, Tom, you've always got a shoulder here.
If and when. I'm not sure I'll be doing it on the set of Good Afternoon Britain.
Well, exactly.
News, but,
Well, Ellen Smith, thank you very much indeed for your time. Former Bond girl who has luckily met Gilly Cooper. Fantastic stuff.
Well, what do you think about that story? gbnews.com/your say is the way, as ever, to get involved. But lots more still to come on Good Afternoon Britain this afternoon. That's all after your latest weather forecast.
Today, clouds overhead. Total zen within. Boxed Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hi there and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. After the temperature record for May was broken on Monday by 2 degrees, it may well be broken again today as the heat continues to intensify. Last night was the warmest night on record for May, and under this area of high pressure we keep the sunny skies, and temperatures are rising quickly this morning and into the afternoon with widely 30 plus Celsius across a large part of England and Wales. Now for Scotland and Northern Ireland, once again it's a little cooler, but actually with sunny skies for many. Temperatures are rising compared with the last few days, low 20s, perhaps mid-20s in some spots, coolest for the east of Scotland, but those temperatures reaching 35, potentially 36 Celsius in the southeast of England. Towards the east of Scotland, we've got a lot of low cloud and some spots of rain, but western Scotland, widespread sunny skies, and it's here that temperatures are likely to climb into the mid or even approaching the high 20s. Likewise for Northern Ireland, lots of sunshine. Further south with widely 30 Celsius still at 6 p.m. There is the chance, late afternoon into the evening, of some torrential thunderstorms. This is one of those where it's all or nothing. Many places across central and southern England will see very little, but one or two spots could be hit by a really quite lively thunderstorm because of the intensity of the heat building through the afternoon. And it's another very warm night. Temperatures in some parts, especially towards the southwest, not dropping below 20 Celsius. A stark contrast, though, across many parts of the UK on Wednesday. Now, for Scotland, for northeast England, we've got a lot of cloud rolling in from the North Sea and a cool breeze from the northeast, and that's going to really reduce those temperatures across the east and the southeast, 26 Celsius, with the heat becoming more confined towards the southwest, still 30 Celsius.
Today, clouds overhead. Total zen within. Box Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
£76,543 and 21 pence in tax-free cash could be yours this summer. That's totally tax-free cash to spend on anything you like. And remember, because it's totally tax-free cash, you'll get to keep every single penny. For a chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entry start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB21 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 26th of June. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that, because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
We can allow. We can allow.
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's Tonight, Late Edition.
Alex Armstrong Tonight, Late Edition, from 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
From court mornings
to warm family brunches.
From football to tennis in the car.
In the kitchen.
GB News Breakfast is there. With the stories you need and the conversations that matter.
Anyway, let's talk business.
Well, it has been a historic night in British politics.
It's astonishing, isn't it?
We're here again.
To start your day just right. GB News Breakfast.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's 2 o'clock on Tuesday, the 26th of May. I'm Tom Harwood.
And I'm Emily Carver. Well, nearly 1,000 migrants have now crossed the Channel in just a few days. That's as the government insists it's deporting foreign criminals in record numbers.
Well, 70,000 foreign criminals have been sent back since Labour came to power, but very few of those are small boat migrants. And once again today, the 5th day in a row, more migrants are crossing the English Channel.
Well, bereaved families meet the Prime Minister today, calling for a sweeping social media ban for all under 16s. We'll speak to some of the parents affected.
The sentences handed to 2 teenage boys who avoided jail for rape are now being sent to the Court of Appeal. After national outrage, ministers say judges will now decide whether the punishment was too lenient.
Elsewhere, Scotland's former First Minister, Nicola Sturgeon, says she was deceived by her husband after Peter Murrell admitted embezzling more than £400,000 from the SNP. We'll have more updates from the SNP throughout the programme.
And Pope Leo has made a stark warning about the threat of artificial intelligence, calling for tougher global regulation.
And of course, it's another scorcher, with more May heat temperature records being set to be broken today. The one and only Jack Carson is out enjoying the sunshine.
Well, we are sizzling in the beautiful sunshine here in Weston-super-Mare. We've had the fish and chips, we've had the ice cream, spotted an amusement park. It'd be wrong not to, surely?
If Jack Carson does not appear to us when he's next on screen on top of one of those pretend horses on the carousel, I will be sorely disappointed.
I'd like to see him in a teacup.
Wonder how fast if a teacup spins particularly quickly.
Oh, it's all your arm strength.
No, oh, is it?
You know?
Wait,
you can make it go faster.
Can you?
Yeah.
I thought they were automatic.
No.
Oh.
My favourite ones are the swings that go all the way around, you know, and you go through the air.
And you sort of go wider and wider and wider and wider. I'm not sure
a little bit scary sometimes.
I'm not sure that those ones are going to be at the sort of gentle Weston-super-Mare amusement park. They might be more, I don't know, sort of extreme.
Yes, quite possibly. That's more for Alton Towers.
Yes.
Or Thorpe Park, or wherever else.
Or some of these sort of pop-up amusement arcades where the safety regulations are sometimes less than to be desired.
I am a bit too scared to go on those. Yeah.
Yeah, I made the questionable decision to go on one in Spain once, which I'm fairly sure was flouting all sorts of rules.
I went on
you
one.
Could see the vans that they'd been brought in on, and so, oh dear.
I went to one twice in a row. Went on one ride twice in a row, and then proceeded to vomit up everything I'd eaten that day. So. Yes.
One good way to stay safe.
Hopefully that won't happen to Jack, because he's had chips and an ice cream.
I think the gentle Victorian nature of Weston-super-Mare will be exact. It's going to be like Mary Poppins. That's the sort of vibe that I'm sure.
But anyway, stay tuned to see that and more. We're going to find out what on earth is going on in the channel and why we seemingly can't stop any of these boats from arriving here.
Trying to think, and sort of. Thorpe Park, you do have the sort of log flume things, and I don't know if we can construct any sort of water sort of barriers to make it a bit more challenging for the small boats to come.
Well, I mean, Priti Patel did suggest waves, man-made waves, but people thought that was despicable. So, anyway.
I think she does deny that it was from her. I think it was a sort of blue sky civil service operation.
OK, well, I apologise, Priti Patel, if that is the case. Anyway, gbnews.com/your say. Do get in touch on anything. But we're going to go to the headlines with Tatiana.
Thank you very much. The top stories. The sentences in a rape case that spared 2 teenage boys jail are being sent to the Court of Appeal after a review under the unduly lenient scheme Sir Keir Starmer has announced. 2 girls were raped in Hampshire by 2 15-year-olds who were given non-custodial sentences by a judge at Southampton Crown Court who said he wanted to avoid criminalising them unnecessarily. The Prime Minister spoke today.
Is distressing. I find it distressing as a politician. I find it distressing as a father. And there are questions about the sentence. The Attorney General has power to refer a case to the Court of Appeal if the Attorney General thinks that the sentence is too lenient. The Attorney General has now exercised that power, so I can announce that that case now will go to the Court of Appeal, and the Court of Appeal will now review the sentence in that case, and that is clearly the right outcome.
In other news, 2 schoolchildren and 2 adults have been killed in a collision between a train and a school minibus in Bugenhout in Belgium. The Belgian Mobility Minister confirmed reports that the barriers on a level crossing had been down when the crash happened. The bus had been carrying 7 children, a driver and a chaperone at the time of the collision. In other news today, bereaved parents of young people who've died because of links to social media are meeting with the Prime Minister in Downing Street today, urging him to ban social media for under-16s. The Prime Minister will be unveiling a new social media policy. According to the most senior doctors, social media use ranks with smoking as a threat to the health of young people. Opposition Assistant Whip Katie Lamb spoke to GB News.
Parents and of course bereaved parents especially are deeply worried and frustrated and upset at this issue, at how long it's taken. It's like with everything, it's important to get it right. It's important to get the enforcement mechanism right, and sometimes that can take a little bit of time. But there doesn't really seem to be any sense of urgency from this government to do absolutely anything whatsoever.
Forecasters are warning temperatures could reach 35 degrees in parts of England today as a record-breaking heatwave continues. On Monday, the UK recorded its all-time highest May temperature as part of London reached 34.8 degrees. That figure recorded in Kew Gardens also surpassed the hottest bank holiday Monday on record at 33.3 degrees back in August 2019. The highest temperatures are expected in southeast England, while other areas in England and Wales will climb to the high 20s. Meanwhile, 3 teenagers have died in separate incidents at beauty spots across England as temperatures reached record highs on Bank Holiday Monday. Police in West Yorkshire, South Yorkshire and Warwickshire have each confirmed the deaths of 2 teenage boys and a teenage girl who were all rescued from open water. The deaths came after a 15-year-old boy drowned in a lake near Lincoln on Sunday. His family have urged others to be aware of the dangers of water. Much of England remains under UK Health Security Agency amber and yellow heat health alerts. Elsewhere, thousands of foreign criminals convicted of the most abhorrent offences have been removed from British soil as part of the government's drive to ramp up removals of those with no right to be in the UK. It comes as nearly 70,000 migrants have returned since this government came to power. It's part of major reforms to the UK immigration system to remove incentives attracting legal migrants to the country. New figures published this week reveal nearly 100 murderers, 600 sexual offenders and 600 violent criminals are no longer on British soil. And oil giant BP has removed its chairman after serious concerns were raised, the company says. Albert Manifold has been removed with immediate effect after the company's board said it's been surprised and disappointed to learn of governance, oversight and conduct issues. It deemed these issues unacceptable and said it's taken decisive action. The Irishman had only been in post since July last year. At BP's annual general meeting last month, 18% of shareholders voted against his re-election. Those are the latest headlines for now. Here's the finance.
Taking the ups and downs in our stride. Stilts Home Lifts sponsors the GB News Finance Report.
The pound will buy you $1.35 and €1.16. The price of gold is £3,352 and the FTSE 100 is at 10,531 points.
GB News Finance Report, brought to you by Stilts Home Lifts.
Good afternoon, Britain. 9 minutes past 2 is the time. Now, GB News can reveal over 1,000 small boat migrants crossed the Channel over the bank holiday weekend.
Yes, this comes as a migrant boat has launched from the furthest away beach ever recorded as people smugglers attempt to outsmart the French police patrols.
Well, GB News Home and Security editor Mark White joins us now live from Dover. And Mark, what's the scene on the ground now?
Well, not a lot going on in Dover at the moment. They're just making preparations for the first of those 2 small boats to arrive here. And we can tell you that just within the last few minutes, that migrant boat has made that illegal crossing to the central separation zone and is now being intercepted by 2 Border Security Command vessels, as is routine. And the migrants on board that vessel vessel will be transferred to the Border Security Command vessels and then brought here to Dover Harbour. Now, we should say this is the boat that set off from an area of beach, Equine Plage, which is just south of Boulogne. That other record-breaking launch that took place off a beach south of Dieppe, well, it's struggling really to make any headway much further south. I have my doubts, as I say, whether they will make it to UK waters. There's such a long distance to go in terms of the number of miles and the hours in the water. So I think what we might see is at some point those on board that vessel giving up and then going on board the French warship and being returned to France. Despite that, though, last night, on top of an arrival during the day of 77 migrants, we had another 2 small boats that arrived into Dover very late last night, in fact early this morning, so not included in yesterday's figures. They'll be in the official figures that come out tomorrow, but that will take the number who have arrived up to about 1,100 since Friday. And then, of course, this other one that's just crossing from Boulogne at the moment is going to be 1,150 at least by the time that vessel has been offloaded here at Dover Harbour.
It was quite incredible. So in the space of about 4 days, is it, 1,150 projected to have arrived, 4 or 5 days. Clearly unsustainable, but I guess the government is going to have to find accommodation pretty hastily.
Yes, as they will always have to do, and you know, they say they want to get away from hotels, so presumably it's going to be maybe a short stay in a hotel and then in short order off to a house of multiple occupation in a street near our audience right up and down the country, which in itself is understandably highly controversial and not at all welcome. But we're noticing a bit of a difference this year in the pattern in which the small boat migrants are coming across. Now, that might be something to do with the extra police patrols. It might be something to do to give the government some credit with the disruption of some of the small boat supplies. But what we really haven't seen so far this year are the really massive numbers. The biggest we've had was about 650 that came in a single day a month or so ago. But normally this time of year, you might see in a good flat calm day like today, 700 or 800 crossing. On the really busy days, over 1,000. We've not seen that yet. Now, that's not to say that that might not happen later in the year, but for the time being, it seems that the people smugglers are playing a different sort of game with the French police, who are out in numbers on the beaches, and that's you know, they're pushing off in smaller numbers each day, but still a steady flow. You know, anything from 400 to 150 in a single day. And as you say, Emily, this is now the 5th day we're into, that can fairly mount up, even though it might not be those big headline-grabbing 800 cross in a single day. After 4-5 days, we're talking 11, maybe 1,200 crossing. So the net effect is pretty much the same.
Mark, quite live there in Dover as they prepare to take 2 boatfuls in of more migrants there. And thank you very much indeed for that report. It does bear, well, it does bear thinking about how these are British Border Force vessels that pick up the migrants halfway through the Channel and then bring them into Dover there where Mark is. One might have thought that the British Border Force vessels could simply take the boatload of migrants somewhere else.
You would have thought so. But
this isn't Britain.
This is what happens, isn't it? Former Director General of UK Border Force, Tony Smith, joins us now. Tony, you know how the Border Force works. I mean, this is just getting ridiculous, isn't it? So projected now 1,150 migrants over one bank holiday weekend, really, plus today. What is the government doing that is effective, and what are they doing that is ineffective?
Well, I think, Emily, you know, Tom's point about what the Border Force can and cannot do. I was a Border Force head before the boats, actually, fortunately for me. But I can tell you they are bound by legal and policy constraints about what they are allowed and not allowed to do. And the fact is that, under the current framework, when somebody reaches British territorial waters, we have a duty to rescue people who are in danger at sea. And once they're on board a British vessel, they have the right to claim asylum and protection under international law. That has been the case since 2018. So unfortunately, unless that framework changes significantly and we're going to say, well, that no longer obtains, and actually we have an alternative that people who do reach our shores will be detained, that we have a lawful authority to detain people, because we can only detain people with a prospect of removal. We need somewhere to send them to. And the difficulty, apart from this one-to-one scheme with France, which is very, very low numbers, the numbers, if you look back over the last 7 years that have been returned, is very, very low. I think, about 3.5–4%. And many of those were actually Albanians, where we do have a returns agreement with many of these countries. We don't have returns agreement. And that's actually why, Emily, I did support the Rwanda plan. I know it was criticised a lot by opponents for being expensive and unwieldy and whatever, but we did have an agreement with Rwanda that anybody, who claims protection wouldn't necessarily be given that protection in this country. They could go and live the rest of their lives in Rwanda without fear of refoulement. And I thought that was a bold attempt, but it just didn't go far enough, did it?
I thought it made sense, to be honest.
Well, yeah.
We never saw it through, obviously.
Having a third country, because, obviously the French don't want these people back. Having a third country where you can deport them to, it
didn't have to be Rwanda, but that was what was on the table. But that got the kibosh.
But I wonder, a lot of people think that this is we've lost control, we don't control. Actually, what we have seen is a very competent border force operation of competently and efficiently bringing people to Britain. And they're, of course, following the international treaties and legal constraints, as you've just set out, Tony. I'm afraid we're going to have to leave it there. Tony, thanks very much indeed for joining us and talking through some of these frustrations. We're going to go live to Downing Street now. Chris Hope, what's going on?
Joining me now, Tom, at a very sober Downing Street, the families of children who have lost their lives, whether by suicide or others, are arriving now in Downing Street. Many of them are holding pictures of the families who the person they have lost. It is a deeply sobering moment here. The Prime Minister is about to chair an event here at 2:30 when he'll speak to them. He has said already to the lobby journalists this morning he wants a game-changing plan on dealing with social media. They're looking very closely at whether there should be a ban on under-16s accessing any social media. Already in Australia, this has been implemented. The results are mixed. Many young people there get round the ban by using various complex technology, VPNs they're called. And others are using the way to get around it by saying they are not their age they are. But we are told by the government this morning they will take action. It'll be a game-changing announcement from this government. The end of a consultation that's asking members of the public for views on what they're doing ends tonight at midnight. 70,000 people have so far replied. A spokesman tells us this for the Prime Minister that he's absolutely clear this is somewhere where there needs to be a game changer. We'll be acting quickly, and the only question is what we do. But this demands what they say is a big response. It's an issue that's growing. We won't preempt that response. There's a minister from the Culture Department already in Australia presently. They are looking at how that scheme works in Australia, looking also at AI and how that is used. But there is a huge welter, I think, of cross-party support now, it seems, for some form of restrictions on under-16s looking at social media. Earlier today, the Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, did speak to reporters about this. We may have a clip now of what he said.
Really clear. The question now is not whether we do something. We are going to act. I'm absolutely clear that this needs to be something where there's a game changer. So we will be acting. The question is only what we do, and that will be coming very quickly because we took powers earlier this year to make sure we can act very, very quickly.
OK, what the government won't say is what does the PM mean by very quickly. Again, 70,000 people have sent in responses to what's called a consultation on the plans to be announced by the government. It takes some time to go through those, but it seems to me, and all the mood music from the building behind me, is this government isn't going to hang around. Some measures are coming down the track which will restrict or even ban under 16s from accessing social media.
I mean, if they ban social media for under 16s, that is a huge, huge, huge intervention, and it's something that needs to be thought through very carefully. Do you sense that the urgency for the Prime Minister around this, of course, there's been campaigns for years and years and years, but the urgency is because of his current position as the Labour leader, as Prime Minister, that he wants to be seen to be making a big change so that he has a legacy?
Emily, almost certainly that feels right. Of course, the government's, the PM's future is not certain, with Andy Burnham eyeing up a return to Parliament and tipped by many to replace Sir Keir Starmer by the end of the year. So PMs start to look for legacy issues. Now, the PM wouldn't say that. He would say it's not about me. It's about doing right for children, right by the families in the building behind me. But there is a degree of a U-turn and about turn, because last December, Number 10 were telling us they didn't want to cut children out from using social media. So much of information, education is also on the better parts of the internet via social media. The government says they didn't want to stop children looking at that, but something has shifted in the past 6 months. Part of it could have been when Grok, this AI tool developed by Elon Musk, was posting images of MPs in a state of undress using AI, and that was got a huge response, I think, from Number 10. It went very strongly in polling. People thought that Grok should be banned. I think that's where I think Elon Musk, if you like, overplayed his hand with how far the internet should go, and that's led to where we are now, where it looks like the PM and others around him are going towards some form of ban on children using under 16 children using social media.
It does seem... It's so difficult to talk about this because it's involving bereaved parents, and obviously there's a huge sort of feeling of sobriety in Downing Street today. But we just don't have anything... The data does not show that more children are committing suicide this year than they were 20 years ago. In fact, the data shows that there are fewer teenage and child suicides now than there were in the 1980s and the 1990s. It does feel a little bit manipulative for bereaved parents to come into Downing Street. It's almost trying to give the impression that many more children are killing themselves today than they were in the past. And it's just not true. Sadly, we don't know how many of these children who have killed themselves, incredibly sadly killed themselves, would have done so without the internet. We don't have that counterfactual. But it does seem that Number 10 is promoting a narrative here that doesn't necessarily fit with the data.
Well, Tom, Number 10 would almost certainly deny that. I mean, we haven't yet seen the data you're referring to, and that should form part of this consultation by the Department for Culture, Digital Culture, Media and Sport when that emerges. So we haven't got the data, and I haven't seen the data that would support that. I mean, what is certainly true is that social media is now so ubiquitous amongst young children that we don't know how much that is forcing children over the line into harming themselves, when others, in other cases, there might be intervention stopping them doing that before it occurred. The difficulty, of course, is shutting the door after the whole horse is bolted. Yeah. In many senses, social media is so much part of what people are looking at now. It's hard to see how a ban would work. There's also concerns in Australia that the ban in Australia, which is now in law there, means that the content on social media is much more adult because people think children aren't on there, and that's where I think it could be the problem, because children will get on there, but if social media becomes a much more scary space for them, that's a further worry.
Christopher Hope, thank you very much indeed. Do bring us any updates from Downing Street when you have them. But for now, this is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News. A lot of tech bashing today, yes. Pope Leo has made a stark warning about the threat of artificial intelligence, calling for tougher global regulation.
But after the break, as bereaved families meet the Prime Minister calling for this sweeping social media ban, the former Health Secretary says that social media is as bad as smoking.
All of that and more to come. You're with GB News, Britain's #1 news channel.
Bold.
They are under no illusion.
Ray, are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get this on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines. The smell of gasoline.
Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos. What I'm going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak. Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
no,
because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's just gone 28 minutes past 2, and we've been looking, of course, at those bereaved parents on Downing Street talking about a social media ban. Let's speak to the child psychologist, Dr. Amanda Gummer. Amanda, what's your view on this?
I worry about bans because all we're doing is pushing the can down the road, and children without education, without information around how to manage digital lives and online communication, we're just storing up problems later on. What I think we need is safe places where children can practice and learn those communication skills for an online world in a way that is age appropriate and doesn't expose them to some of the risks and harms that we're seeing all too clearly at the minute.
So essentially, it's better to teach children how to use social media in a quote-unquote safe way rather than to ban it at all. Do you think that there should be any new regulation? Because the government has been consulting on this for yonks.
Yeah, and we've contributed to the consultation, and it's a difficult issue but I think banning it in the way that is being proposed is a bit of a blunt instrument. And the research coming out of Australia shows that kids find other ways around it, whether it's using the online chat functions in games, or so I'm seeing that some kids are using Google Classroom as a way to create that kind of chat function and be able to communicate with their friends. So getting them off certain social media platforms feels a little bit like a sticking plaster over a much bigger issue. And I don't think we can put the genie back in the bottle. Those, kids are still making up false age limits or age verification to get online when they want to. So I think it's a complicated issue, and I don't think a blanket ban is the way forward.
It does seem extraordinary. I don't think a lot of people understand what the Australia ban has actually done. I mean, it's not just Twitter and Facebook. It's YouTube. It's Reddit. I mean, educational forums. These are unable to be accessed by children. It does seem like there could be negative consequences to a ban as well as perceived positive ones.
Yeah, and I think what we need to do is give children the tools and the platforms that they can use safely and age appropriately as they're learning how to manage those, community norms. What does polite look like? What does well-mannered look like? How do you interact productively and positively with your and other people online? That's all skills that kids need to learn in the same way that they learn manners when they're, in the real world. It's all stuff we can't expect them to know it straight away. So I don't have a problem with an age limit, with raising the age limit for social media access. But what we need to do is give kids the opportunity to have safe platforms and safe areas to go. Because if we don't do that, then they're just going to keep falsifying their age and getting access to the adult version.
Yeah, perhaps there's a little more of a realistic approach. Dr. Amanda, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much indeed. Dr. Amanda Gummer there, a child psychologist.
I think the analogy is perhaps America's drinking age, which legally is 21, but we all know that 18-year-olds in America do drink.
They're frat parties.
They get around the ban. They have fake IDs. I mean, we can't...
But then, I mean, by that logic, we shouldn't ban anything.
Well, by that logic, we should do harm reduction rather than harm elimination. It's like telling teenagers don't have sex still leads to child pregnancy. Giving teenagers, you know, the means to have safe sex means you don't get child pregnancy.
Well, and also all the fear-mongering over how getting pregnant will ruin your life and all of that. I think parents need to show more interest in what their children are looking at online.
Yes.
And I know it's very tricky, and I know I'm yet to go through this as a mother. But I do think the parents need to club together and just put some rules in place.
Yeah.
You know, no phones in your bedroom on your own or whatever after a certain time, or just take an interest. Steal their phone and have a look. Steal a child.
Yeah.
Don't deserve any privacy.
Right. You should, they shouldn't, yeah. Up until a certain age, I think.
Up until a certain age,
yeah.
yes.
Maybe up until sort of, yeah. Teenage
Go on, make some policy on us.
Teenage boys deserve some privacy, I think.
No, absolutely not. Anyway, time for the Great British Giveaway now. £76,543 and 21 pence in tax-free cash. Here's how to enter.
£76,543 and 21 pence in tax-free cash could be yours this summer. That's totally tax-free cash to spend on anything you like. What would you spend it on? Treat the family and friends to the ultimate summer party, or just relax with enough cash in the bank to make this year your best yet. And remember, because it's totally tax-free cash, you'll get to keep every single penny. So, what are you waiting for? For a chance to win £76,543 and 21 pence in tax-free cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB21 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 26th of June. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pulled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Well, good luck indeed. Lots more still to come.
Yes, Pope Leo has issued a stark warning about the threat of artificial intelligence, calling for tougher global regulation.
Yeah, he says that artificial intelligence should be disarmed.
Yes.
Strong language. Well, all of that and more to come with GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi there and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. After the temperature record for May was broken on Monday by 2 degrees, it may well be broken again today as the heat continues to intensify. Last night was the warmest night on record for May, and under this area of high pressure we keep the sunny skies, and temperatures are rising quickly this morning and into the afternoon with widely 30 plus Celsius across a large part of England and Wales. Now for Scotland and Northern Ireland, once again it's a little cooler, but actually with sunny skies for many, temperatures are rising compared with the last few days. Low 20s, perhaps mid 20s in some spots, coolest for the east of Scotland, but those temperatures reaching 35, potentially 36 Celsius in the southeast of England. Towards the east of Scotland, we've got a lot of low cloud and some spots of rain, but western Scotland, widespread sunny skies, and it's here that temperatures are likely to climb into the mid or even approaching the high 20s. Likewise for Northern Ireland, lots of sunshine. Further south with widely 30 Celsius still at 6 p.m. There is the chance, late afternoon into the evening, of some torrential thunderstorms. This is one of those where it's all or nothing. Many places across central and southern England will see very little, but 1 or 2 spots could be hit by a really quite lively thunderstorm because of the intensity of the heat building through the afternoon. And it's another very warm night. Temperatures in some parts, especially towards the southwest, not dropping below 20 Celsius. A stark contrast, though, across many parts of the UK on Wednesday. Now, for Scotland, for northeast England, we've got a lot of cloud rolling in from the North Sea and a cool breeze from the northeast, and that's going to really reduce those temperatures across the east and the southeast, 26 Celsius, with the heat becoming more confined towards the southwest, still 30 Celsius.
Thank you, Britain, for the thousands of you who are becoming friends of GB News each and every week.
Good afternoon. This is the latest AI travel news from GBNews.com. On the M6 northbound in Staffordshire, one lane is closed between junctions 15 and 16 due to a collision. The M25 clockwise in Buckinghamshire faces 50-minute delays, and one lane closed between junctions 16 and 17. Two lanes are closed on the A3 southbound in Surrey, between the M25 and the A247. The M69 southbound in Leicestershire is fully closed between the M1 and Junction 1 due to a police incident. Major disruption persists on Southern between Eastbourne and Hastings, with delays on Avanti West Coast between Carstairs and Glasgow Central. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's 37 minutes past 2. Now, Pope Leo XIV has issued a stark warning over the dangers of artificial intelligence.
Yes, he said AI risks spreading misinformation, concentrating power and pushing the world towards conflict.
Well, the Pope also referenced Gandalf from Lord of the Rings, urging people to focus on uprooting the evil in the fields that we know.
Well, joining us now is AI and disinformation expert Marcus Beard. Marcus, thank you very much indeed for joining us. So Pope Leo has issued, well, quite a stark warning, and this was in his encyclical. And it's really a message to the world, isn't it, really, that AI is something we need to think about more, and that it's being used particularly in conflicts, in weapons and such things.
True. I mean, AI is absolutely one of the most consequential technologies that we've sort of ever encountered in human history. And I think it's unsurprising, and I don't think it's unwarranted for scrutiny and warnings to be thrown up by all different kinds of sectors and all different kinds of figures in business, ethics, energy, climate, sort of labour markets, and now from the church itself. I think the language he's used, which is, while it's strong, I think it's quite smart, because he is not railing against and criticising the technology itself. As you said, it's about uprooting the evils within technologies, within organisations. He's used the phrase disarm, which I think is really smart and resonates with the sort of work I do in disinformation. So the technology itself, technology can be used for good or for bad. The problem is a lot of the ways that it's currently implemented and the ways it can be freely used and they're used poorly by lots of different actors means that harm can be caused to a lot of different people through misinformation, through fraud, through just financial crime online using AI. And of course, the bigger one, which is not so much the work I focus on, which what the Pope talks about, is in warfare. And I think what he's asking for, which is what a lot of people are talking about as well, and he's adding to it, is that we don't want the threshold for violence to be lowered because we're outsourcing these kinds of decisions to an AI. And I think that's a really smart way to put it. But more than smart, he has obviously made a very strong letter. Like the language of it, I think, is beyond what we've seen from a lot of pressure groups and a lot of other commentary on AI. And the fact that he's doing this sort of in collaboration with one of the co-founders of Anthropic, it has a bit more of an opportunity to kind of move the needle in terms of how people are thinking about AI and the risks of it. Calling it, as you said, like an evil to be uprooted, rather than some of this language around, I don't know, misaligned incentives, which is in there as well. But misaligned incentives is not as strong as some of the other language he's used.
And that does really rather fit with Anthropic's bust up with the Department of Defense in the United States, or I should say the Department of War, as it's now known within the executive, over whether or not their technology could be used for automated weaponry, taking humans out of the loop. I do want to think a bit more broadly, though. Pope Leo has been referenced. Pope Leo XIII, 150 years ago, wrote an encyclical about the Industrial Revolution then and the change that was going to be brought to society. And looking at the world in the 1880s compared to 50 years later, it was just a completely different place. Our streets looked completely different. The way that we lived looked completely different. I wonder now, sort of 150 years on, as this Pope Leo has issued this encyclical, in the coming decades, are we going to see such a different transformation? Are we going to walk out onto the street, as you might have done in 1880 versus 1930, and just see that fundamental difference? I mean, are we going to see robots walking down the street? Is the world going to physically look and act differently?
I mean, unfortunately, I do not have a crystal ball. There's no way for me to predict where things will be. But it does. As I said, this is an incredibly transformative technology, and it is going to accelerate the technological change happening in all different kinds of sectors, and possibly in the physical world. If we do in fact get into the physical world, there's one version of this AI space where you won't really be walking down the street as much. You'll just be sort of jacking into some sort of Apple Meta AI headset. Possibly, I don't know. I'm just guessing. But I think what this encyclical is less about is rather than trying to specifically steer a specific application of AI or a specific type of technology for it to be used for. It's as you'd expect, outlining a set of moral and ethical principles around it. So
I think he's absolutely right, Marcus, when he says any technology that facilitates attacks without seeing the face of human beings lowers the moral threshold of conflict. I mean, that makes total logical sense. I mean, people are much ruder, for example, when they're anonymous, even on social media. I know that's not exactly the same thing, but I think it's similar in a way. If you're just using a robot and it's all pre-programmed, you can sort of shut away perhaps more the negative
it could be
impact.
more precise, and you could have targeted strikes that don't kill civilians.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I mean, there's this phrase that we use when I'm implementing AI systems in businesses, not businesses of war, that's called human in the loop. So even something as simple as, I help people with AI doing media monitoring for them, so it gets them a kind of media monitoring digest, and then they can make their decisions whether they do a press release on it or whether they reach out to people. I always recommend having a human in the loop, and that is a phrase that is used kind of across the board. And so you would never want to sort of receive something that, I help companies implement and then have an AI make decisions based off the back of that, and then more decisions be made off the back of it. You always want it to pass through someone. I'm sure you've received AI-generated press releases, and they are sort of dreadful and forgettable. And then you're a bit annoyed because your email's been clogged up. It's probably used a bunch of energy, and it's just wasteful. This happens on a massive scale. And so, as you said, while this is a huge ethical question when it's applied to war, those same principles kind of track down into all these different layers.
But what happens when they take over? When the AI takes over? But Marcus, we're going to have to leave it there. I'll leave on that
Thank
question.
You very much. Love to speak to you.
AI and disinformation expert there, Marcus Beard. Aren't they much cleverer than us now?
Well, I mean, here's one of the interesting things in the encyclical as well. I mean, the Pope, as you'd expect of the leader of a church, was saying that AI can never be what a human is, because humans have sort of these intrinsic, unmappable qualities. Sort of talk about the soul and these other sort of things. And it's just like, some people might think that all a human being is a bunch of neurons connected by synapses.
Because you're a misery, aren't you?
That aren't too different to
We'll replace you with a robot then.
Trillions of parameters.
We'll replace you with a robot.
I'm just saying, I mean, with a smart enough AI, you could imagine it having autonomy, and then you get into difficult questions of digital rights.
Well, that's why we should have the conversations now, shouldn't we, and not have that happen. Anyway, this is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News. Coming up on the show, it's another scorcher. But what's Jack Carson up to?
Well, we are ready to giddy up here in Weston-super-Mare. Oh, God, giddy up, horsey, off we go. But before all of that, join me after the break and, of course, after a check on your European travel weather.
Dinner under the stars tonight?
That reminds me of our travel insurance.
You mean All Clear Skies?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello there. The heat wave continues across much of Central and Western Europe in particular. Lots of hot sunshine to come over the coming days. Temperatures close to 30 Celsius across the Canaries. Sunny spells here. Hot sunshine for Spain and Portugal. Perhaps 1 or 2 thunderstorms in the evening times. The risk of 1 or 2 showers. Southern parts of Italy across to Greece and into Turkey. But temperatures still on the hot side and staying hot over the next few days.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
How can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Scotland has 790 offshore islands, with 103,000 islanders populating around 100 of them. For the people that live and work there, ferries are a lifeline. Businesses need to transport stock, attractions rely on tourists, and islanders board for the everyday necessities found only on the mainland. But island communities grow increasingly frustrated at frequent cancellations and unscheduled maintenance, pushing the Caledonian McBrain fleet to its limit. As election campaigning got underway, CalMac announced a third of its fleet was out of action.
We're off to Arran just to see how much these maintenance woes impact islander lives.
Alistair Dobson runs Arran Ice Cream. A fourth-generation dairy business recently awarded the Golden Scoop Award.
If the ferry doesn't run, everything stops. All the other islands will say they've got a big tourism industry. Arran surpasses them all. You're then pitching tourists against locals, against commerce, because everybody's trying to get the same ferry space.
When 2 Arran ferries were delivered 7 years late and £350 million over budget, just for them to enter into a never-ending cycle of repairs, well, frustration swelled into fury. Election party solutions come in all shapes and sizes. The SNP pledges a £10 million resilience fund and will give local islanders board representation at CalMac. Lib Dems want to initiate a 30-year procurement plan, while the Tories would consider procuring vessels from elsewhere. Reform has pledged a 10-year renewal plan, while Labour seeks to merge CalMac and CMAL into a new publicly owned agency. And the Greens seek to extend public ownership to more ferries, ending the tendering system.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Cates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's 10 to 3 and it's hot, hot, hot. Yes, Britain recorded its hottest May day, or day in May, I should say, on record yesterday as temperatures hit 34.8 degrees during the day and failed to drop below 21 overnight.
Well, should we speak to Jack Carson, who's out and about, enjoying the sunshine? Jack, is it hotter than yesterday?
Whoa, horsey! Whoa, horsey! Hello, good afternoon to you. I told you that we couldn't not have a go on the merry-go-round, and here we are with my lovely horse, who what should we call the horse? Tom Horsewood. There we go. We'll call him Tom Horsewood. Oh, here we are in beautiful Weston-super-Mare. Thanks to Leisure Events for letting us have a go on this one. And of course, this is the kind of thing that is great about the Great British Seaside. The weather is beautiful outside. There is barely a cloud in the sky here in Western-super-Mare, as we are, of course, here and around the country enjoying these beautiful fifth day in a row of beautiful sunny weather. We were up to 28 degrees here already today, still set to go higher in the next couple of hours. Of course, we all felt how warm the night was last night, and even the parts of Yorkshire being officially classed as having a tropical overnight, as many parts of the country did. But in the daytime, again, hundreds, thousands of people here in Western-super-Mare and millions across the country have been out and about once again in the sunshine, once again at the Great British Seaside. These rides, of course, these shops that sell ice creams and fish and chips and all those different things, the amusement arcades, they all rely on the beautiful summertime to really, boost and improve the local economy. And all of us coming out to enjoy this is exactly the kind of boost that they need, especially, of course, in these tough times, as we know. But across the morning, we've been speaking to people enjoying the sunny weather here. Take a listen to what they told us. What do you think to this today, this sunshine?
Beautiful, beautiful, absolutely first class.
I absolutely love the sunshine, but we have to come out really early because the dog is too hot.
I hate it. It's too hot for me.
What have you thought of the last few days then?
Trying to get cool, but it's nearly impossible.
Bring it on.
Oh, steady horsey, steady horsey. There we go. Coming to a nice, gentle standstill. But let me tell you, it goes a lot quicker than it looks when you're on this, as I am trying to keep hold of it and do the job. We're going backwards a little bit here and now as well. But as we were saying, this is the kind of thing that I remember doing as a kid at the Great British Seaside, as I'm sure you guys both do too. And this is some of the best bits of the Great British Seaside. And it's exactly to get out of your office after your shift, guys, has ended. Go and
Jack,
find a beach somewhere. Find somewhere to sit in the sunshine.
Jack, well, enjoy riding Tom and have a wonderful afternoon. We're checking out now from the shop. It's from the shop? From the show. Having a splendid time there.
Shop front. Yeah, no, I think the wonderful thing about it getting so much hotter is that the seaside is back. Victorian Britain is here to stay. Well, that's it from us.
The beach is back.
Up next, it's Martin Daubney.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hi there, welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It's another exceptionally hot day out there for many of us. More widespread, 30+ degrees for many parts of England and Wales, but that heat allowing for some torrential thunderstorms to break out heading into the afternoon and evening. These thunderstorms will be all or nothing. Either you're going to get a torrential downpour with frequent lightning or stay completely dry. The greatest risk area of these thunderstorms during the rest of the day, the Midlands into East Anglia, the